It is time.
It's time.
It's time.
It's time. It's time.
It is time.
It's the Money Show.
The Money Show.
The Money Show. The Money Show.
The Money Show.
Makodem Mandi Igbo. Let the conversation begin.
Igbo ndị ọma, Igbo nọ n'ebe niile. Ekele m unu. Welcome to the Money Show. Makodem Mandi Igbo. Afa m bụ Chuka. Anyị apụtasịa ka anyị kalịa maka ọganiru. O wedịla anyị mma. Unu maka anyị si emenụ. Ekele m onye ọbụla. Thank you for joining us early. Casey nwanne m. Odogwu, how far now? Okay, Kime.
Adema, my brother. Kekwano Kekime, Chuka.
I'm fine. When I got from Priscilla. Kekwano.
Enna, it's been a minute. Adema, my brother.
I don't know with horse.
Kekime, Chuka. Casey.
Udo, dear. I am well on.
I am being for another day, another amazing session.
You missed it last week.
Yes, I did. Sorry, I was in transit, cross country actually, so I couldn't join. But now
Alaja.
Listen.
I be today.
Yes.
You guys, welcome everyone. Just go ahead and share the space. I'm an icon if you here, but we will start quickly. I am in Boga today, so just go ahead and retweet or tweet and let people know that we have started this conversation. More people in the room. We already have one of our guests here. Please request the mic so that you can join us already. It's a continuation of last week's conversation, actually. In my last week, we were talking about prioritizing quality education in our Igbo. So this week, last week, and during the show, our space crashed. About 2 hours, 30 minutes into the conversation, it crashed at the peak of it, actually. It works for good. We realized that it's better to just continue the conversation, take it up a notch, expand it some more, and accommodate other aspects that we didn't deal with in that conversation. So I say, okay, let's keep it for this particular episode. That's why we tweaked the topic a little bit. But in the not just okay, semantics, it's still the same thing. So today we're talking about reinforcing human capacity development in our Igbo. Human capacity, how do you reinforce it? Education still. It's just that we will now have to accommodate other areas of education, not just the basic education, which is primary and secondary school. Today, I got into more details. I Mayor, or like this. You're welcome to the Money Show. Money is an acronym for Makodem Mandi Igbo. We have this conversation as Igbos all over the world. We gather here to rub minds, share ideas, and find viable solutions to our collective challenges so that we can move forward as an Igbo and see how we can implement these things, create the future that we have been waiting for. I am met for too long anymore. We are the leaders that they have been talking about when we were kids. I get to go now. So it's our time. And that's why we're having this conversation, to be able to come together, to be able to, rub minds, to be able to understand our problems in a conversational form, not just in their own room, but like in the that is also how we rekindle that Igbo spirit that makes Igbos who we are, that helped us to build what we have built so far. We need to bring it into a different level, take it to a new level, a whole new level altogether. We're still waiting for Uchenna to request the mic. We're already sending you an invite, actually. If you can see the invite, please come in. Okay, she's a speaker now. That's beautiful.
Hello, everyone.
Hi.
Good evening.
Good evening.
So the weather is a bit cold. But good evening, everyone. Thank you for having me back again.
Yes, so we're happy to have you again. We're happy that you came in on time as well. I know Chelsea Alex. Very soon. If I do make education, I see me, but not be very sensitive to our growth as in Igbo. People are what are all. people are what are the importance of education in Igbo over the last 50 years, especially in the 70s and 80s. All they can see if no one may hustle. So all they can represent education. No. And what are the impact it can have on our society, you know? Because I should not just gas cook when we came at all. Most of us grew up thinking that's the idea of going to school. Maybe that's what was passed across to us. You get job working with the ball, you get job working cholo, and in your father anya on a role on a federal service, maybe of a lecturer or of a principal of a school, or maybe he's a commissioner or DG or director of some sort, whatever it is, on our government. Most of us grew up with having our parents working somewhere in a company or in government parastatal or something agency, while a few when the papa have a businessman, this olafia on the galobudo, remember import and export. But majority of us weren't like that. So we were just this was the idea. So kindness ilanya for na they are not well paid, you know. I remember as a kid, I remember watching my parents go on strike. I remember the particular time that my both parents were on strike at the same, as in they are in different fields or in different areas, but the two places Hana Lolo were on strike at the same time. Hey, when more is not what I can Lolo Ibono. I was a kid, but it didn't make any sense to me. And I effect in Gawa, no work, no pay. This no work, no pay. So that kind of, you know, affected a lot of Igbos because they believe that the only reason why people should go to school is just to be able to get a job. But that is not true. Education is actually supposed to open your mind, give you exposure, not just to know how to read and write, but to understand how things work, to be able to equip your mind to be able to understand things. You know, when you go to school, a situation anya, chime assessment. When you go to school, we process the mind they go used to. Just like physical muscles, like your biceps and your triceps, when you exercise it, it expands. It's the same thing with the brain. When you put it through some rigorous processes, logical processes, and analytical processes, you know, it expands, it accommodates more. It becomes more efficient, it becomes more potent, it becomes more powerful. And then if you also add the creative aspect to it too, it becomes even more creative. But obono, just one area, ego, the mind just stays in that direction, just find how to make money. You know, so I think that's one of the things that made us, you know, Dutch years in education for a while. And that is directly connected to what we have in the Southeast now. In Igbo general, in fact. Nigeria boasts of having a lot of young people. The population is massive. And it's the same thing with Igbo. But the truth is that no matter how much youth population you have, it can be a disadvantage, it can be an advantage. They can be assets, they can be liabilities, depending on what you have invested in them. So because we haven't really invested in a lot, we haven't invested a lot in our young people over the last maybe 30 years. That's why we have what we have in Igbo right now. The mayhem and the chaos and everything. No matter on internet, PK, YouTube or whatever. They don't even reason and think about what if I go for JN. When you open a just so easily just go in the same direction with the family. Whether it's going to impact their life positively or not, they don't even have time to analyze it because their mind was not developed. It was not developed well, properly to the level where they can actually understand and ask questions. You know, question any help in with Alofa. This is the reason why we have what we have now. And that's the reason why the conversation about education will have to continue. Even after this space, it will have to continue. We need to really, really take it seriously, you know. And if I get met today, so like I said before, we have our sister here, Uchenna Onwamebu Ugu, and we also will have Alex joining us later. Today, we will take this conversation to a different level. We will talk about beyond primary and secondary school. We'll look at tertiary education. We'll look at vocational. We'll look at, you know, other areas of learning that enables work. enables productivity. When we came out how to, push up the capacity of Igbo in our Igbo. Because I know more from outside our Igbo. To look at our Igbo, they call it Iche. That's what this conversation is all about. So Kaiganiru, Casey, what do you think? How does this connect with the last episode? I sort of want to finish, even though I listened later. But how do you think this connects to the previous one, from if we found on towards the ending?
Yeah, absolutely. I feel there were a very, very strong connection because, OTC, you weren't involved towards the last part of it, but towards the end, I think we're having actually very, very interesting conversations. And how they call Uchin and Yuku then. And I think the question at hand, if I can remember clearly, the question then was in regards to if I can think correctly, I remember the question is in regards to setting up different hubs. How can we be able to have more of Alex, more of Uche's, and how this ties into, in the broader sense, how we can achieve, having more of the capacity to do these things. And yes, he got for the connection there. There's I think broadly speaking, I need a strong focus on the human side of the development because abroad or one area we have strong weakness on. But I think over the last 20 to 30 years, you've seen strong development in that sector, especially in Igbo, the Southeast, generally speaking. Now you're going to the level of the number of women that are literate, or the number of kids that have actually transitioned to, pick up skills, different skills here and there. That number is actually increasing, broadly speaking, compared to every other region in Nigeria.
I agree with
you. We emphasize and focus on development and literacy. I think the bigger problem, I know part of Ihalexipu last week, but in as much as all of these skill sets, we are equipping our young ones with these skill sets and focusing and emphasizing on the importance of education. In Haina, like the opportunities, because no matter how much skill you have, if you don't have an environment where people can utilize and leverage those skills to create meaningful and valuable opportunities for themselves, then you're lacking in a broader sense. I know in Haina like it, but I feel that the most important thing, in Anya, that form of development, that form of human development, I emphasize here, like we need to be futuristic and figure out the skills you need to develop. How meaningful is it going to be in the next 5 to 10 years? In what direction is the world going? And how can that skill still be of value to you, in a future sense? And but how we need to why we need to emphasize on picking some of these IT jobs, because for me personally, I've always seen it as where the world has always centered on. Because in Anya, even in the last 20 years, you can see like it is what drives every sector of the global economy, because invention and re-innovation is what actually develops and pushes the world further. And if you can be there, if you can pick up 1 or 2 skills in that sector, you essentially give yourself opportunities and give yourself a head start. Other people maybe they don't even have. In as much as that's been said, other sectors are important as well.
Exactly. I was going to mention that because only if you could last week, and then you mentioned the chicken and egg situation, and then now you're talking about how we don't have a lot of opportunities for Nigel Aoko already. There's something Alex said. I would have liked to say that when he's around. He posted something recently, I think a few days ago, that there are so many. The Nigerian problem is not employment. The Nigerian problem is not that we have a lot of unemployment. And our problem is that we have a lot of unemployable schooled people, as in unemployable educated people. So the fact that we have, I don't know how we are going to be able to do that assessment of our education sector and the result of our education sector over the last 30 years without being able to connect it to our employability. Because even if you have much more enrollment and much more literacy, if it doesn't boil down to productivity or viability, those people are not strongly equipped enough to be able to function effectively in the work in the corporate world or in any world they find themselves. What use is their education really? Maybe halfway on Walulu battle, but it's not enough. So if we're measuring it by that, do you think we have made much progress as it looks?
Yeah, that's a very strong point, Erazy. I know a very very strong yardstick, e.g. measure, because you're right. The proof is in the pudding. What
Yeah.
the value of it, the meaningfulness of it is determined by the output of it. I think in Anya, in definition, serve the most important thing, and he gigi measure ya properly ma or the meaningful, monodro meaningful, more what the output is gonna be when the process itself. Care can the process it because all the process get determine what the output will be. Care had the curriculum, what does it look like? Um the easy for someone to just go, and pay their way out of school just to be able to obtain a degree, and then they have nothing to show for it when it's time to work. What are the processes that are in place to make sure that doesn't happen? It's not a regular occurrence. What that? So I feel like I need to put a lot more emphasis on the process to actually refine the process and the value of it had people wet from it. Because I think that's where it gets all lost. And I think that's even from Alex's conversation, everybody need a lot of improvement because yeah, one of the system full time. I know Gagwagi from first-hand experience that if you actually work with a lot of the public administration at some of the schools, you see that they actually, some of them, they don't know what they're doing, or they are less involved, or they care less about what happens. So we need to go back to a process, but first, we're getting people who are qualified to actually teach, who are qualified to actually teach people skills. Oh, yeah, the most important thing, one. And then we're actually paying them properly. Because on you, you work for me, that will actually, try at least to put their mind into doing something. That people have to be compensated and rewarded properly for the amount of work that they do. And then we can begin to see if that can even lead to people actually developing maybe ideas and strategies that can be combined together into changing curriculums. It's all about what can you contribute. When more people come in and more people bring ideas together and brainstorm, there's a lot that can come out of it. But I think overall, in a broader sense, we need to change a lot of things. But I need to change the process. I just hire the people and the people who we actually bring in to do the equipping. And then secondly, I need to look at the curriculum itself and see how we can revise it in such a way that the output of it becomes as meaningful as what we intend it to be.
Yeah. Priscilla, I think you are more of an expert in something related to this. Do you believe that this work is just this problem? Do you believe it's only directly connected to the education sector, the formal education sector, or any other aspect of the society that is responsible for this poor work ethic? One, two, lack of focus and discipline. And mind, because that unemployability is not just about IQ. Right, it has a lot to do with work ethic. It has a lot to do with other usual qualities that they got for in those days and people you employ. You don't find them anymore. What do you think?
I'm glad you're saying this. All right, I'm assuming in English. So, yes, Casey said a lot, and so far we've said a lot. But for me, like you said, what's important is integrating whatever education we are doing with culture. See, you can do a lot if you do not find a way to integrate it, to make it look like it's culturally acceptable. You will keep on having challenges. And if you look at it right now, if you look at our educational system, you see that there's a mismatch. It's right. And yes, it's not merging, and it's a serious struggle for teachers, and that's why after the long holidays, the teachers, the can be don't see. You know what I'm saying, Chuka? If they start, like, if they come back from the long holidays, the teachers have to start all over again. It's like it's like they're beginning the work over and over, and that's why some of the teachers keep on recommending after school. I don't think that focuses on education is not being merged with our culture. And the reason I keep saying this, now you can build the most, and we've seen that happen in a lot of states, you can build the most beautiful school if there's no buy-in from the stakeholders, if the culture doesn't like encourage that kind of education. You'll just go to school and come back. And we've had situations, I don't know if you remember, I think you said it in one of our spaces, that the certain state that the past governor built this really beautiful mall, and then the people there are going there to eat in front of the mall, and we've seen it all over social media. It's, again, human capital is not hard to measure. And so if it's not directly seen in your society, if the effect of whatever development you're doing, especially educationally, is not being felt in your society, there's a disconnect. So you can train them all day and twice on Sunday. If you do not try to integrate it with the community, get their engagement, and get the society involved in it, you would just be like you're building a tech hub in a place where it's culturally okay for you to be one boy. So there's a disconnect.
Round eggs in.
You might not get that buy-in you're looking for.
Round pegs in square holes.
Yes.
Or square pegs in round holes.
That's exactly what I'm talking about. So what I seem to see now is that the education is not merging with the culture, and there's a struggle. There's a struggle for those who actually see the light. So you can just have like a tech hub, and it happens in a lot of our Igbo communities. You have a tech hub and you have just like 10 people in there. Then you go to the market and everybody's there. And you keep wondering, like, why is there that disconnect? So we would love to see in Igbo specifically, let's not differentiate education from our culture. Let's find that mid ground between our culture, our traditions, and then human capital development in various areas. There's agriculture. There's Igakuko is not only to go to the four corners of the school. Like, there are other ways. There's even vocational training as well. Go to the east, you will really struggle with getting handymen. I don't know if any of us have had that kind of struggle. And if you do get those handymen, they are not good in their finishing work. Like, you can tell that this person is half-baked. We have a lot of building projects going on in the east.
Yeah.
What is actually trendy is that you import from Togo, or you import from Lagos, or you import from other parts of the country. Now, how is the vocational institutions in our educational sector in Igbo helping to fashion out that skill set that is needed for them to be of economic value and even practical importance to those that want to build houses?
Yeah.
That's the disconnect I keep seeing over time. Yeah. And then it just seems like collaboration with institutions too is not there. Because so
all right, let's
there's so much disconnect.
Take a breather. Let's engage our guests now. But before then, when I welcome Councilor Pigeon Nobel, when I welcome na MONI show, Makode Mandibo, and we're here to have a beautiful conversation about reinforcing human capacity development in Igbo. If you would like to be part of this conversation, please request a mic. And Kebatalabata, understand that we have some ground rules. One, you keep your mic on mute when you come in. So if there's any noise in your background, it doesn't affect us. When you begin to speak, stick to the conversation. Don't take us anywhere else. And go straight to the point. Avoid all these necessary protocols so that we can save time. And also, please respect yourself and respect the guests and the audience so that we can have a civil conversation. Also, feel free to speak in Igbo. Speak English. Anyone that works for you, we accommodate that so we can all hear ourselves and freely speak and be able to express ourselves very effectively. Because when that matter sweep at all, but they have a lot to say, or they have ideas, or they understand how things work. So if you restrict it to Igbo, those people won't be able to contribute to the conversation. This is why we open it up like this. Kaiganiru. Uche, going to find how the productivity level doesn't seem to reflect that the education system is improving. What do you think about that? Uche, one mic.
So while we wait for her, let me just chime in a little bit.
All right.
Right. So the last speaker, what she said was partly true. Recently, I've been trying to hire in Anambra State for my business there, right? And have in mind, so far, I have hired in Jos, Anambra, Jos, Abuja, Lagos, without any issues. When it came to Onitsha, when I tried hiring, we'll go through the interview process, go through everything, and then they accept the job. Then I provide the JD, and the problem rises from there. People are scared. They see a JD, which is not different from anywhere else I've hired. But for some reason, you understand? As in, it's too much. The responsibility is too much. And I'm like, but that brings up another issue. And that is that most of the time, I think in the buying stick to the bare minimum. Hence why people go and hire people from Togo to do their mason work and stuff like that. Like the mason person I use in any of my projects in the East is actually from Togo. Victor, you get, and he does an amazing work. But I think for the most part, because of Imago, we want to get things cheap. We want we tend to go for the bare minimum, and because of that, our standard in the Southeast is not improving. Like when I say standard of work is really not improving, right? And I see this over and over again. I think the only thing is that, when it comes to that aspect of things, if you want to do things like that, do better. If you want to hire people, hire better. You understand? That's the only way. It's like monkey see, monkey do. When people see that, okay, this is doing good because this person, went beyond and above, or did better in the kind of mason they got, or in the kind of carpenter they got, or the kind of welder they got. There's this guy, I don't know if you can know him. I think it's called Attitude in Enugu. Can you hear me?
Yeah, is it Arinze?
I don't know if it's his name. I know him. He's Attitude. He does welding.
It's a New Haven, right?
Yes.
I know
amazing. Tell me who else you know that does that kind of work. You understand? In the East. And he does jobs both in Abuja, Lagos, everywhere. Massive jobs. But you see what he does with his welding. You understand? So I think it's the thing. We just stay at that bare minimum and just comfortable with that and just stay that. And that's because the people the people are not asking for more. People are not actually, wanting to elevate that quality of work. And when it comes to school, when it comes to education, I mean, this is not rocket science as far as I'm concerned. It's mostly, again, you just don't want to do it because, we're in a global world right now, right? You have to elevate. You have to do that to be able to be employable. A lot of people went to school today, but far not employable. That's the thing, and it's not about work ethics here, because when you get to the part of interviewing, you haven't shown your work ethic yet. You understand? You just have to show that yes, you're employable. So what soft skills do you have? Because at that point in time, you are actually, displaying some of those soft skills, and they can't. Most of them can't. Most people can't even do a CV. You understand? So we have big problems, and it's a mindset things across the board: agriculture, tech, schooling, everything. You understand? It's a mindset problem across the board.
Is it connected to our school system?
I don't know if it's our school system. I really do not think it's our school system. I think it's just the I think it's just our attitude towards certain things. You understand? I think it's a general thing, not just in Southeast, to tell the truth. You understand? Think about the people, kind of people we elevate. You know, somebody will come out with the first class, and you give them 1 million naira. You know, somebody shakes their bum bum on BBN, and you give them a car, 50 million, 100 million. It's just a lot of things. Like, it's crazy. Like, what we're supposed to elevate, we're really not elevating that. If somebody sees that, listen, this guy did well, and look at how, everybody's treating him, you tend to want to do well too. You get, but why are you doing well? You can do Yahoo and make your money, and nobody's asking. It's a lot of things. It's like, again, a mindset problem. That's my little contribution.
Let me pass it to Uche. Uche, can you hear me now? Uche now.
Yes, I can hear you. Sorry about that.
It's all right. You've been hearing what we're saying, right? Our conversation about this, right?
On and off.
Oh, okay. I know, Kuna, the output when it comes to the workplace doesn't reflect the quality of education we have. So, can we say that the education quality is not that much better because the quality of the work outputs has not really improved? Probably it has diminished. Or are we connecting it to some other factors? What if because a lot of people are not employable right now. I mean, gone recruitment before. I know I'm in workplaces before. What's going on? Like in the Gallo University, may projects, may youth service, but then you say follow or the cafe need the park, maybe the quality trade the cafe again about all of us, just basic things about Yale Wall, just like before mentioned, even to write a CV they go the little advanced. Even to write a letter, something as basic as writing a letter or doing an essay or doing a little research, a report. Most people don't even seem to have the skills to do that. So now I wonder, or a school problem, or an attitude problem, or both. Whatever the problem see, or is it about what I mentioned before, that we exalted accumulation of wealth above everything else? So, but as you go, I need too much respect, too worship here. We're not taking very seriously because they think that's not what the world is looking for.
Okay, so I think it's a combination of all of the above. That's what the answer would be. But let me focus on output of education and workforce. Whenever I want to say things like this, I use myself as an example. If at that level, what could I do? When I finish university, do I know how to write a letter? What do I know how to do, and how do I acquire that knowledge? So, what you have to know that university or our schools in Nigeria, some of them have to be blamed, and some has to be done, and the individuals has to be also blamed. And again, Marina, our school curriculum do not teach us how to work. Some of you know US or are not abroad, that now work ethics is not taught in school. It's true hands-on. Yes, depending on the course in or if you in school na about theory. You learn some things by example. In no school here knows what it means that after school you do a summer job, you do weekend job, or you take 2 hours in a week to do some work. So you start learning what it means to work, what it means to work in an organization. And at that place, you start applying all the things you are learning in school inside the workplace. So amaranum time I when I invested to teach us how to learn how to work, but I am one of that working attitude. Kai je kai mo all ihe ma bụ mgbe no school ihe na-anụ bụ egosi akwụkwọ ije chọba ọrụ ka ebe ka then ọ bụrụ ije chọba ọrụ no ka onye ma ga-enye gị ọrụ ka nwanne gị nọ na military ma ka nwanne gị nọ na police ma onye ma onye gị ọrụ. It's not about ihe ego at that time. So ndị fụzi onwe ha n'ọrụ, like you made mention of interview, people not knowing how to write letter. Onye gụkwara university kwesịrị ka ifelere eme na ọ mara ede letter. Ọ pụtazi na blame lecturer gị na ịga university 4 years ị mara ede letter. So attitude, people's not feeling responsible for not knowing. Because if I want a solution to something, I start putting the blame on myself. At that point you have a phone. Phone of their parents. So you have a phone, you have internet. It's a shameful thing for you to come and blame university for you not to know how to write a CV, because you have your YouTube, you have everything these days that you need to learn. So it's about the individual, not the school, right? For me, the way I place it is, if my child's school is failing, what am I doing as a parent, and why do I have to leave that child here? Now, if the whole system is failing, for you to repair Nigerian system is very hard. So what am I going to do to repair my own self? Because you can blame Nigeria from now to 50 years. At that time, but still, on what he changes. So how do you see university graduates? You see, excuse, I need to move here. So people are in the kitchen scrambling.
I can understand.
So let me shift. So how do you get your ward or your child to know that Negusia investing, you know how to write a CV, So who is to blame? You doesn't blame lecturers that got by Onya Hammer, and they are just there to give you for you to pass or for you to go and sort them out, and some of them, not all of them, allegedly. Then,
but sorry to interrupt you, man. I don't think. Do you think the problem is actually being able to write a CV or being able to write properly? Because
no, being able to write properly is not just the CV.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Because how do you get this pass this exam?
So
It's a pass test.
That's the same thing in the It's a circle. A lecturer, I wear all based on Onyoma. It's a circle. That same person is no marrow and with their CV or their letter. Kiga, for not one bank executive, just goes to the manager of full bank, Olo or Mubakwa or Olo something, it's just a Becca fire alarm on castle. Can shift for so it's just things going in circle. There is something Biamunobi when you were talking about workers and other things, and I don't know, let me not cut short with the hedge about private sector and government sector. If you have primary school or secondary school and you see in the private schools they are doing well because they do teachers training, they do screening, so they take the best of best. When they are married at school, how come when they marry? So you see them getting all boy. Now sometimes they're not who is willing to learn. For example, I recruit people that work for me. And when I want to recruit, what I look at, one of the qualities I look out for is, are you willing to learn? Once I know you are willing to learn, I'm a high-end copper. What I'm English teacher, because they learn English and how to write for at least 1 month. That's the sacrifice I put in that. But the problem, Gabu, if I make this effort to improve you, it just ain't a man more anything. A man, a back in when so By the time they stay with me 1 year, I can bet you they can walk anywhere. That's my own part of giving back. So why I start mixing up private sector and the government? On my proposal, I did a proposal when I was when I was the transition committee of our recent governor. I made this proposal. I said, talk a public school, both primary and secondary. In a private school, I say no, I'm about the best in Anambra. What has her adopt or 2 schools, public schools. And what they need to do with that 2 schools is hammer administrative level and a place. Now the other one, they should do the same. Then forget the tax hana for government. If you can place a government school under a private school, if we are teacher government school na biolo once in a week. Abụ na private school na manage ya. Ọmụta na biolo every day na ị ga-abịa n'oge and na ị ga-submit lesson plan. Ịghọtago? Mana ọ bụ na otu a gọọmenti anyị dị kịta ka ị gasị na ị ga-azụpụta nwa na primary school, secondary school, bụ government school. It's not going to work because onye ọbụla bịa ọlụ government. So, ihe anụnwa niile iji bụ a combination of everything come together. Alụlụ ọlụ, alụtala ọfụma, agụlụ akwụkwọ agụrụ ọfụma, ha ncha niile bụ problem. Mana where I base that problem mainly na abụba on the individual. Kedu ihe ịchọzi iji onwe gị mee? Ị ga-atọ because any go university for 4 years, ị ga-atọzi na blame government, ịbụlụgo an adult. So by the time you are done, you should be like 2022 or even more. So being an adult, if na ekuzirola how to write letter when you are well established to make those decisions. Then about something someone said about not having resources or not knowing if you have all those skills, where are you going to use it? I will also tell you that people that have skills now are the more opportune. Like having skills is preparing for the opportunity. So all can man na accumulate in the skills. Obuzie train her more to better their lives or to grasp that opportunity. No obia. Only when skills of example, let me use the list of graphics. When the opportunity of learning how to do a proper branding comes, if you know when go jiaka, man open opportunity abia nwere go ya jiaka, how would they grab that opportunity? How would they even know now what they want to get? Now they are looking for opportunity. So in while we are looking for other things, we are still going to continue, still letting our people gain skills, and that skills will meet with opportunity. So I don't know if I missed some of the things.
Yeah, if in a nutshell, can go in Igbo.
Exactly.
But again, I don't believe that I'm not more, but I've always believed that attitude is not inborn. It's not always innate. It's a culture. It's a learned behavior, and yes, I agree that before people start school, they have a home, and the home lays the foundation. But again, when on a primary school, I can still recall some of the exercises, some of the things I name megasi, and if I am and when I think about it now, I can see how that is supposed to shape a child's attitude to anything. Even if they're late is an example. Teacher is an example. There's so many things. And akuzi, but other did direct. So water they fab a deliberate or intentional exercise. It's not just to makanande I feel no to So instilling those values, I think it's supposed to. I don't think it's supposed to be part of the school system. Let me give you an example. Okay, go to Anambra. I'm assuming they go to Anambra State. So possibly, in a school where Peter Obi will governor, maybe in a university where Peter Obi will governor, Anambra State, and you saw how things were transformed, how the schools, the primary and secondary schools transformed, became more efficient. Teachers stood up. Teachers took their job seriously. students also took their studies seriously. You know, what is your lesson, or what do you see? What can you take from that observation and how it applies to this situation?
I think what happened at that point was that he got capable hands. He got capable hands that were able to help in. I'm the education secretary then. How strict he is, because then I know a teacher that was living with us. Gabusi 13 go to Ojebego school, and I just not try man Nagatri and all, you know. Now, what Peter B did was very smart. Very smart. He took the government schools, well, yeah, we're in the church. Now, in the church is a body. Oh, yeah, like a private school. So the churches adopted the government school. Ega if one in the schools, Buege Pesidi were now Pundia or wow, then you have free money. The churches were actually doing the work of the government. So Owele Gafu na akwụzi ha ụgwọ. Ọ pụtara si na ọ na-enye free, no ego ekwesị ịdị na-akwụ ndị nkụzi. So if like DMGS became DMGS was adopted the because o kwesịrị ịbụ government school, but owelukwu ya back nyachizi in the Anglican Church. So the Anglican Church absorbed the teachers. They also employed their own teachers. And that money was for the schools, the teachers are now for. So now, I know mgbe DMGS bụ government school. Enwe my brother go na DMGS at that time of government school. Anokata ha kwọ fence gafee. Anokata eme nke enwere orderliness. So the church brought in orderliness. The church owned it. The church now have more resources to take care of the school. That is when the standard of education, the high. Now, open a government school, what happens? You know, in Anambra and Mofma is because of that single move where you handed things over to people that can control it. So a very, very smart move. Nedrum at that ihemen or further watero ihemel or bronobia any change. Oh well, yeah. Oh well, smart decision. Me and the church in the church. Alobazil hall hakwesedenalo. So there is no government school. In our government schools, now they're on that church. Are there more for the JK in Anambra? Are there more for church schools in the schools needed on that church. So I will still say that it's a smart move, it's a good move, and it changed the dynamics of education system in Anambra State.
So you think that can be adopted by the other states as well? A place like Ebonyi, for instance, I don't know how much presence the church has and how much experience they have in that area. No, I'm talking about in managing schools.
Oh, well,
Imana the schools I know, a lot of them were managed before they were handed over to the government.
Exactly. So they were managed by the church already.
Yes.
And Peter gave it back to the church.
Exactly. So the system is already established. But some other places like Ebonyi, I'm not trying to say anything about playing down on what is functional in Ebonyi State, but I don't know the strength of the church. We're talking about church. We're talking about Catholic, Anglican, and maybe Presbyterian or Methodist, right?
The church. Let me be honest with you. The church is a strong institution. There is nothing the church. If I say I will know cherubim and seraphim, how were orderliness, how were hierarchy. They are respecting this person, they are respecting that person. So when they do a little bit of administration, they will still do well, better than the government school. You can imagine church now pay salary, you know, an institution like that. It can be an all by 8. Can we look at this also on ABL? You get then lesson plan again now. You get kuzino mazin, you get more results. Man, I'm school, public school dinner on it. Okay, and major ban and low. Even a class, almost a what? Now do chess. Imago na anakata na kofa. Yeah, almost is primary school and secondary school. It just
so that school is not under a church.
No,
that
not
particular
under a church. It's just thinking a teacher biaro. So what the teachers do is that they take turns. Onye ada abia Monday. Ihe a na-abịa bụ once in a week. Ka ihe a na-abịa na that school. Once in a week ka ha na-abịa.
Oh my God.
Yes. So abịa kita.
Oh my God.
Monday to Thursday to Friday. Mota anyị na-agụzi so Tuesday. So 3 times once a week ọ ga-abịa. Ndị ọzọ take turns. Ịbịa jụọ ha sị gị na onye a na-arụ adịrị ya ma ọ na nwa ya mụrụ na ọ mụrụ nwa ọ na ịmago kọrọbish mana ọ gọọmenti skuul mana ị na-achọ ịgwa m na etinye ya nọnda chọọchị ọsị a bụ Cherubim and Seraphim chọọchị na enwere onye isi mana a na-akwụ ha ụgwọ ọnwa 7 o'clock ọ bịago ọrụ.
Ọ dị ka like Cherubim and Seraphim.
No,
Anyway,
na-ekwu maka ndị Katọlik na-ebe ha si na like ndị Katọlik na Katọlik ha. Ịma na Katọlik na ndị Anglican na-ekwoke ekworo. So ka mkpọtụ ha na like.
Ọ dị ka ị bịa today with violence. If Alex Anoria, so you're playing your own and his own at the same time.
So I'm just trying to say that yes, it can be managed. Churches can manage church.
Schools.
Yes, they can.
Another aspect of it that I actually remember, Uganda for the election, when this gist about Peter Obi transforming the schools in Anambra State came up, I saw people on Twitter who said they were secondary school students at that time. So they were telling their experiences during that time. And they were mentioning so many interesting, remarkable factors that helped. One of which was that Peter Obi himself used to go to the schools. So there was supervision, oversight. And you don't know the day he was going to come to your own school.
No.
Teachers don't know. No, so they are on your toes because exactly. So
and
maybe
again, not to promote. I don't talk politics. Peter Obi is a businessman. Do you understand? So, Ojianya businessman well. One other thing he did. Remember, I'm not doing campaign. Anyway, reason I'm a mother. I have children. So actually, enemies. So I'm not here to. That's why I don't do anything in politics. But I'm just telling a story of what happens. So, obia, mgbe law infrastructure. Contractors there. They man ka contractor is the man there settle man they have. So obia kpọ principal, draw principal say afugo m ego na ndị a dị a ga-eji wee lụọ ọlụ ịghọta m ga-eke ego ụzọ ebua nye gị ofu ị ga-eji nwe ya wee lụọ ọlụ na ọ ga-alụ onye ga-ega ịghọta ifu principal na-emetụbere ude ego ahụ aka ifi ebe ọ na-agba mbọ ka ọ lụọ ihe ahụ agwa ya lụọ. Any infrastructure if you're a contractor lawyer then the question
wow
principal school principal all if you so use business sense and again then this senior prefect the whole secondary school the phone number so they can easily send him a text message and he will go and respond. So in terms of managing the schools as a businessman, he tried, just that it is not everything. Like our Jagom schools or donating computer, very beautiful computers in China, those schools, when I was going around to help schools with computer science. A computer 1 million now possessing at the computer. They didn't use it. So there was no sustainable plan for those. They take them like 5 schools. Tell them computer people be work donates on our assassin. That's all maybe go complete. See my computer with battery inside it for a long time.
Yeah. Yes.
Or maybe go. So when superficially there is work, but there was no sustainable plan. My name go because he left the office as well.
So maybe what happened was that
let me put another twist to this story.
Okay.
Right? Because I went to school before Peter Obi was governor. Right?
Okay.
Now, and I went to 2 schools, one in Abakaliki, Command Secondary School Abakaliki, and then on DMJS on. Now, the difference with DMJS before Enyechia back to the missionary was they had, I don't know about any other school, I'm sure they have their own, but they had a very, very strong old boys, strong and influential old boys association. What that meant is that they could decide who is the principal by influence, right? So that's why the standard of PMJs did not really drop in terms of when it was even given back to the missionary. In fact, funny enough, I would take it a leap and say it was actually better before missionary, personally, right? But that standard didn't drop because
you're speaking as an old boy of the school.
Yes, so I'm also talking about when I was in school, right?
Okay.
It was like, as of the time, it was Menakaya that was the one that eventually was Minister of Health.
This was in the 90s?
Yeah, this was in the 90s.
Okay.
Yes. So he was the old boy president then. So they had a very, very strong hold on the school, in the sense they decided who was there. And, so I'm just giving that little twist to Imagofo. And I for some reason, I feel like CKC was practically almost the same way. I'm not sure. And maybe QRC. These are the ones I know that they're, Old Boys and Old Girls Association was pretty strong. But from personal experience, the standard wasn't really that impacted by that. I'm sure other schools, yeah.
What you and Uche are saying, it actually took my attention to something that I used to ask myself about, as a much younger person, as a secondary school boy. I'm at the schools, the government schools that are the best in the whole of the Southeast, right?
Yes.
DMG has always came first. And we're federal government college, and we're DMGS,
yes,
and we're CKC, and we're CIC, Enugu,
yes,
we're Queen School, we're QRC. So I used to ask myself, can you defend on the channel special? We're three of the best schools in the whole of the Southeast.
I think because it wasn't really like handled by the government.
Enugu yet Enugu could not compete at that level. CIC could not compete with CKC or DMGS. What my people like my dad would tell me then, if I could now, that the other schools are older and the old boys, they pay attention, they defend them at the school. They want to make sure that things are done well. Like you said, they wield a lot of influence on how the schools are run to make sure that the legacy continues. Unlike other schools like CIC, but Queen School was okay. But the federal government colleges were different in this sense. But when it comes to the normal government public schools, these ones were special. Everyone I wonder, how come the same missionaries didn't create the same kind of schools in the other states like Abia State and Imo State? Let's just say the old Imo states, because there was one school from Imo State that was this remarkable.
Again, I'm not
from the federal schools.
I'm not
church.
Yeah, and I'm not really standing up for the church. But all I'm saying is that they have stepped into so many gaps that we've had, like hospitals. You understand? Okay. So there's just so much they can do, because if you check in like Imo State and the rest everywhere, you see where they have done like hospitals. Some of the best hospitals in the East are actually mission controlled. You understand? So they have done quite a bit. There's just so much they can do. Now, before I get off, I wanted to talk about something, and that had to do with the private sector you mentioned in terms of education. When I traveled and I went to school, I furthered my education when I traveled. I noticed that there's this group. It's called Inroads. I'm sure they're still there, right? It's a private entity. And what they do is that they served minorities and underserved people of color, right? So what they were doing is this. They'll come to your school. Like they will come to your school and they will look for the people. They had a certain GPA. If you do not make up to, I think, 3.9 GPA, you can't be part of it. Then they pull you in. They had developed relationships with different companies in the area, of banks, oil companies, every sector, right? So what they do is that they now bring you in during the summer for like the whole summer. You're doing like they teach you public speaking, CV development. What's the other one? Interview skills, how to interview. You do mock interview with your fellow people, and then they pair you with a company where you can do your internship with. Paid internship for the most part.
This is for high institution. This is a high institution, right?
Yes, this is high institutions like universities.
This is the US, right?
This is the US, yes.
So I could already tell because they factor even presentation is also part of it, because I remember
exactly
a lot of my friends that schooled in the US, they told me that they used to do presentation like every week.
Exactly. So for the most part, you don't do that. Yeah, presentation you do because that's what it's a regular thing. You do it in school for the school I went to. But in terms of CV and the rest, it's not something you do all the time. It's not something that but then you get to do it, and your presentation is different. And with public speaking is actually different too. So they were able to teach you. So I say this because I think the private sector also has a role to play as well in that in the East, that aspect.
Right. Thank you very much, Bufo. You're welcome to the morning show, Makode Mandibo. It's already 1 hour. We're 1 hour into this conversation, and we have our second guest joining us already. Alex Onya is here. Alex is the CEO of EduCare. He's doing a lot of great work in the education industry or education sector in Nigeria, and also playing significant role in promoting quality education and education upgrade in the Southeast, in Igbo generally. He's a big advocate of good education. The same for Uchenna Onwamebu Ugu. She is the founder of EduFund, and she is into STEM. She's a STEM advocate. She is a champion because she has to take it. She's the one that took our girls to the US for a global competition where they took first position. So that makes her a champion. So I always call her a champion. And we're having a very, very important conversation about how to reinforce human capacity development in Igbo beyond the basic schools, right? But we have been talking about the basic schools for the last 1 hour, touching how it also impacts on job, employability, efficiency, work productivity, and all that. But we will pivot a little bit towards some broader factors on this. Alex, how now? Welcome to the show.
Thank you, Chuka. Good evening.
There we go.
Good evening, everyone. I'm really happy. I'm privileged to be here. Thank you so much.
Happy to have you.
Uche, sorry, I've been trying to write you. For some reasons, I can't even find your number again. Because they are not now.
Uche, are you there? Can you hear him? Uchenna.
I've been looking at your number since for some reasons I can't find it because they are not so that it will come up. So I can write it.
Okay.
Thank you so much for having me here.
You're welcome.
I've been listening and the insight makes a lot of sense. So
all right.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. The last week when we were talking about this, when we feel very important, you said something about my kind of word is high quality education. You buttress a fact that is important. It's in any school, like every child. No, there should be no child out of school. That is the lowest hanging. From what you were saying, that is the lowest hanging fruit. And if you don't touch that, look at one particular boy. My father called me one day and I had phone. So when one boy that comes from an extended family, on his side, he might go, the grandfather, to put it simply, his mother too. So the boy seems to be left alone because mommy and So also the
Okay.
cousins when they think is any phenomenon. So when I say chuka you know kwa this boy gini na kwa fio kwa monye na eku si or they just why is he not in school? Keko is not in it. That's my father was so worried at the boy at the JC school. No, they JC school. Say tijanya na ifa male phone get about this thing. How can he be out of school? You know, because he understands how important it is. Mokulio would tell me so much because I imagined a child going through life in 2025, 2024, 2023, 2022, you know, without having experienced formal education. Hey, that is the person that is so ostracized, so isolated from reality. You know, so I took it as a burden. I called my siblings, I called the non so my family if I gave about it, you know. So when you said that, I remember this incident and I felt the same way again. Like, I think it should be one of the biggest priorities for us, finding ways to go and do the work that will get all the kids in Alibo, all of them, into school. And not schools to accommodate them. So
we have more than enough schools to accommodate everybody.
So what do we?
Because one thing about school is that education gives everybody some level of self-worth.
True.
So,
true.
And that the barest minimum gas school. That was because when you want to help somebody, again, with a baseline.
Yes.
If you help when I got off school, it's usually very difficult.
What are they feeling?
Because even if the person what I feel when I big a video, so at the barest minimum, let's make it compulsory. Every single child got school. So we just need to look at it. Everybody must go to school. You can't be at home.
Yes.
In short, it's a sin not to be going to school. Every family. So and when some. So let's first of all get everybody to school. Everybody is in school now. The next thing is what are they learning?
Mm-hmm.
How can we improve the quality of what they are learning? That is the second stage. The third stage, because I've been moving like a madman in Europe since. Almost all countries can go, and each time I'm going to the Department of Education. I'm also trying to engage with them. Actually, what is, because I have noticed something very common here. The more people they make vocational education, most of their universities, you see like 70-80% of foreigners. So, but majority of the citizens which are vocational education. So, I don't know why France, Italy, Germany, everybody they make vocational
I noticed
education.
that too.
So why is it we hand down so because if you check the like if you move around, you see that name with excellence in almost everything. Because what they call on the Naga University but researchers, that's the word they use. Researchers. I want to be a student, I want to be a researchers. So they believe that in them advance your learning, you are a researcher, which is ideally this is what it should be. So we need to understudy it. You understand? So that I wear marrow, but once everybody is in school, it becomes easy. We can because you will do a lot of experiments, you get it right or wrong, but the baseline is that now everybody in the Nogodi school, that gives us like a very healthy society.
Yes.
So we need to also improve the schools, which is some basic improvements that we need to do. Then we even talk about standardizing teacher training.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, the teacher salary, the poor, it can never be good. That's the truth. Because of this whole economic crisis. Also give one teacher 500,000 is still not enough.
Maybe one day, like you said, and like Carlo just said one day, maybe one day we'll be able to build that workforce that will be so good that the global market recognizes the region as a viable source of labor.
And now let me even tell you, Nigeria, based on the world, Nigeria may have the highest number of the world young population. That is the biggest asset time. You understand?
Yes.
And everybody wants to tap into that our resource. You get. So we also need to take advantage of it. You get to be able to win a lot. So we just have to, everybody by anybody, because to be frank, there were a lot of super brilliant people who, because they didn't have any opportunity to go to school, they have already lost out in the picture. Because remember, aside from work and making money, the most important part of education is a healthy society.
Yeah, to be able to reason
That
well.
is why, yes, that is why. Because even today I spend time now OGC news. Now I've been engaging with them, also watching the children play ball and all. So I was asking them questions. For all these children, I saw their parents, how their parents even match. You see that all these children had 100% na gas school. So before you go even advance, you getting like 16, 17, 16 bore, meaning that now at that point, if you finish, you go your basic education. So you already know some certain things. And all this fight of going to school, our major core, everybody can go through basic education. You get my point? So that man, I'm stuck illiterate. You understand? So we need those kind of, that's one thing I'm feeling as the baseline, all the very important. I don't know if you
I get you. If anyone I wonder now, but the more we say these things, the more we have these conversations, the more expedient it becomes for me personally, the more pertinent it is that we need to do something as a collective to change the quality of governance we have in our Igbo.
And then I even want to chip in something. I don't know if you know it. Now all the football clubs in Europe, as a student, as a teenager now, non-academy, if you are not performing well in school, they will.
It's true. I agree. I remember during the Euro, this Euro 2024 Agbalo, there's a kid, and as the world's greatest young talent, kid talent. His name is Lamine Yamal, Moroccan Ghanaian kid. I'm on Spain. The boy is 17 now and a few months, but he was 16 when he went to the Euros. If I was senior professional football, goes to Faba as a 16-year-old child. He'd be in their 20s and 30s, but he was the second best player. But that's not even the main point. The main point, even while he was in Germany about Euros, yes, while he was in Germany in their camp, preparing for the games, how can I make an assignment here as a secondary school, as a high school kid? On my assignment. Now, like when I interview, the journalist may say interview, I say, go and do your assignments.
Wow.
But that's how important education is to their society. They don't allow great talents to ignore the importance of basic education because it's still going to help him in the future. In fact, Barcelona, the club where he is being built, where he came from the academy.
It will help you. It will help you in the present and also in the future.
Exactly.
Because this kind of societies, you can't even exist without education.
Absolutely.
On I think you should know some certain things. You understand? So this is the kind of thing I question in our own society. You understand? Whereby at least at the base level, can eradicate it. Because on this it be all kinds of error. Indeed, it be are the vulnerable. Indeed, let it be that at minimal every single so it's a meaning waste in the school. Or I don't know if you get me. So let's first of all start from that foundational point.
Yes.
Because all in which other levels we'll get to, which is part of the things I'm even working on tirelessly, like in terms of opportunity, collaboration, and some of these things you get, we will explore a lot of it. We are in a very big advantage.
So the question,
I don't know.
So the question is, like I was saying, the people who are in charge, they're not sharing, they're not sharing. Many of them don't seem to be very interested in this thing. So since we are now talking about this, right? And we are gathered from different parts of the world. Now, I forgot the exigent need for us to go together as a collective and start solving our problems as Igbo, as a body. So if we were to go into this sector as Igbo that are working together, in what ways can we approach these problems?
I think that ending way experience in those kind of things can also bring inputs. You understand? So because
Yes.
So people when I believe have a lot more experience in those parts.
All right.
Let me add something here.
Okay.
Chuka, good evening. Yeah, Mr. Alex, I greet you. Uche, I greet you. And so let me add something to the mix. In Manhattan at school, and especially secondary school, if you look at the data so far, you discover that.
Sorry, Uche, sorry to
Ali-
interrupt you. Your audio is not sharp. I'm on my, and I cover the mouthpiece with your hand, finger, or something.
Hear me now? Yeah, can you hear me now?
Okay, better now. Yeah,
So
better. Go ahead.
even an
please.
Igbo, even an Igbo, for that now, from the data released so far, for that now, Southeast are doing so well in terms of primary, secondary school enrollment. So on average, you meet every young person in the streets of Awada, Ababanike, Aba. You know, some places if they trenches, right? You meet average kids there. If not finish, most of them finish secondary school, and even a class or schools shouldn't have some of those environments. It's for that now from a class now, maybe in secondary school SS2. Then about position number 1 to say 20, maybe out of 40 in a class. And then we came Bundi the brilliant. Then from that 20 to 40, Bundi neighbor class in this. And they could define a quarter class, right? And I got manage I got manage at least I'm say that. That's what they want them to do. We can banye afia, more criminal in the society. Then the number 1 to 20, see from that society, majority of them, their parents are incapable of sending them to higher education. And some of them may not be able to even get admission. They will find it difficult to pass their WAEC or JAMB or stuff like that. And we can struggle in those departments. Then there's a few of them, let's say 10 out of them pass their WAEC and JAMB. Then 5 gain admission. And after that, that is 5 out of 40 people in their class will eventually gain admission, right? Now, the remaining numbers, have we ever thought where did they go to? What will eventually be their fate? Because what I usually tell myself, I remember when I was in school, secondary school, and when they go, you also teacher kuzie, it's also teacher kuya, they will never get it. And it is not entirely their fault. When they got a teacher from Malayos, first, second till 5th, father brilliant, name of man. So in most cases, some of them go higher in education. In most cases, they stand a better chance of succeeding in this 21st century. So what I'm suggesting, or what I think should happen here is this. This is where vocational education comes in. Localities like Awada, Obosi, Nkwo, Ababanike, Wani, Aba, some places in Aba, those places should be able to have strategic vocational education that will assimilate these people that come out from secondary school that do not have any hope of writing WAEC or JAMB because they know they can't go any further. They should be able to we should have a lot of faith in abundance to assimilate them, because even at Southeast Aqua, and I roll everywhere, kata everywhere, and I roll kata, a lot of construction going on. Getting the load it in. In fact, I wanted to make a tweet one day, and we're uncompleted building than I every day more. I can't even understand the language. I'm sure it sounded like
on the Togo.
On the Togo. French. I don't understand what these people are speaking.
They are Togolese.
And we go. It's not just Togo. And we go. Different tribes come into this building to work. Yeah, their music. The music is always changed. And then they make plastering, then they make painting, different things. But I can tell you that the only time I went there and asked them, I figured out that no one is just once. Wiring. Just a wiring comment. The rest of the work in foreign music happen. And when I mean foreign music, I mean local music, but I got to me fan so bro Nigeria Yoruba, so bro Yoruba, no somehow so bro Hausa, mami fendana. So what is the point I'm making? These people are scattered all over the place, taking up these jobs. And the kebe eziokwu bụ na fa kemi ọfụma. Ndị be anyị na-enyefe ọrụ bụ nke gịnị na ha na-eke ha kemi ọfụma. So how do we convert the over 30 persons in a class of 40 that couldn't get admission into put them on something very handsful, so they will become useful in the society, because these are the people that will eventually emerge as tools for politicians.
Right.
Are we still here?
Yeah.
I think
I Hello? Can you guys hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Yeah, go on.
Okay, I think Uche, the point is that if I knew, I remember even as a child growing up, when we found out about government technical school, GTC, even before then, I asked my parents, my father and my uncles, Fasuna, in those days, and were more technical schools than the normal schools. Fajula everywhere. And I'm with different kinds of things. Mom made you imagine that I'm on a school. About just plumbing and carpentry and woodworks. No. Or metal works. No. And there were many more things than I'm on a school those days. Technical drawing was common too. And so Ndepota from secondary school can easily be engaged in employment, in productive employment, So if in Yokubezoku, we actually need to go back to the drawing board, but in a different fashion, in a different manner, because the reality of that time is no longer the reality of today. But this is the next level after the basic education. Eventually, I'm speaking as someone who has experienced it. I think that even the method of teaching people in primary and secondary school needs to evolve a little bit and be more accommodative, because but volleyball. It's just that the way their brains are wired, they find that motive in the conventional way we teach. I have a nephew. I see him as a special kid. Not special in a negative way, special in a very positive way. He's very smart. He's very inquisitive. He knows more than his equals. As in knowing, he knows more than them. When I engage him in conversations, they can kata with okay. But sometimes parents are not complaining now, but they're more formal at school. And I have better able to get other work for him. So sometimes they have to, luckily for him, the parents have enough money to be able to put him in a private school. So the private school, and then there's a special attention, what I approach that work clear. But and well, many cases like that, na primary and secondary school. I'm more on a fab of special kids because I'm going to hear teachers say Mogawa. And they were all lumped into the category of Nditi volleyball. If that kid grew up in the 90s in a public school, probably he would have had the same problem and then become a menace to society, because all got the angry in society are what area. So even the education system will need to bring in advanced understanding of how the learning process of a child works to the education system, even at the basic level. So we don't miss out on those ones because many of them are geniuses. And when they wear dyslexia, they can't read well, but only the test to understand what's going on. So because they can't read very well, they don't pass the exams. But the brain is better than the average person, that of the average person. So I don't know how, but I think that we need to begin to pay attention to even this aspect of the learning process. Other advanced countries have already accommodated that.
But Chuka, what I'm suggesting is this, Emma. One of the common challenges I know when Nigeria is that we try to pick so many things at the same time. Emma, if we have to do like a long-term and short-term plan, where incremental implementation, I think within let's say within 2-3 years, we should be able to achieve, great results. Because at foundational level, I know a lot of people not out of school. And actually, I really don't want us to start comparing Igbo with maybe other parts of Nigeria to prove that. I think
no need.
Igbo are not on that part.
Standard are the higher.
No, we should be looking at places like maybe Germany or something. Or
Japan.
Japan. So if we are not up to the standard of Japan, then we are not good. So
Yes.
have to go to Nigeria.
I
That
agree.
18 point something out of school. We got most of 500 in Alibo. The other rest in other places. So let's not, because who you compare yourself with makes you understand where you are going to. So based on that, let's first of all close the fundamental gap, because even that one alone is not an easy task. So that we don't choke hand in so many things, and then at the end of the day, among where results. So open I set a timeline between now and let's say a particular time. Now it close that gap maybe within 1 year. Then I check if within 1 year I make our analysis. You understand? And that we can confirm that every single child in Igbo on our school.
Yes.
So that alone is a strong fit.
I am with the statistics now.
I am with the statistics. Everything the fictional. And then even some of the 18.3 million out of school on the UNESCO Nigerian Ministry of Education here. I don't any data concerning the children and the school and all. So they rely on the UNESCO data, which many of them are
old.
Not just old, self. The data are actually not accurate. Either they are way more or they are way less. You understand?
Yes.
So this is basically the truth of the matter. So I think we should close that gap first. We can beat our chest now. Every single child in Igbo on our school. Once we can be able to close that one, then we are now focusing on what are they learning. Then I could divide, because vocational education is very, very important, because we need to also have like what they call it, a roadmap. Should we overtake Japan? Should we overtake Germany? Should we overtake so place? I don't know if you get me. So that can guide all our ideas and all our inputs. But good results. One result can encourage a lot more things to happen, so that we don't put hand in. So we know all these things. I mean, even
I agree with you.
So let's just ignore those ones and clean one first.
So okay,
we can now do a lot more. We can outline every other thing. Know that after this we can do this, but let's just pick it one after the other, so that we can now measure our progress. That is, for me, that is what I would suggest.
That's actually a brilliant suggestion. I agree with you, and I'm still asking that question. Funding on this speaker panel now, we're looking at us as the people responsible for what we want. We are the leaders of tomorrow that we spoke about yesterday, right? We cannot completely rely on those in governance to do this work. So I'm asking, as private citizens who can work together and do collective work, in what ways can we approach this project or this initiative of ensuring that every Igbo child in Igbo is in school? Primary, secondary, every one of them is in school. What ways? Let's hear you.
Kune, can I have the mic? Good evening.
Go ahead.
Good evening.
I think we've been raising our hands already.
Go ahead and speak. I'm not going to ask you to speak. I might ask you a question, but I'm not going to ask you to speak. So feel free to chime in anytime you feel that you have something to add to the conversation at that point.
Okay, I want to make contribution to your statement of
my question.
Solution.
All right.
Solution.
All right. Go ahead.
Yeah, solution.
Go for it.
Okay. I'm a futurology technology native professor. I'm not an academic professor. And I'm doing research.
Again, please. Saying in what ways can?
Please, let's hear from futurology. When it's done, the next person can speak.
Alice, you remember I called you 2 weeks ago, and I've dropped the concept note. I've proposed that I've submitted to the Nigerian Educational Research and Development Council. I think I have a concept note with them on how we should bridge institutional void in Nigeria and sub-Saharan Africa. And we should look inward. I like the comparison of How can we beat Japan? How can we beat Germany in education in the Southeast? I think one strategic solution is building or establishing innovation hubs. Innovation hub where we will develop quality / artificial intelligent educational plugin tutors. Today, we are still relying on Western education curriculum. And that curriculum has boundaries in education. And education is not supposed to have boundaries at all. The boundaries are there. The teachers are technically and economically rigid. That is how they were taught to impart knowledge. And with that, it makes education have a serious boundary. Not only in Nigeria, I think it's a global thing. So and Nigeria as a country or Africa as a continent, we are already 24 years late in integrating into the fourth technology industrial revolution because our teachers, lecturers, professors are still imparting knowledge by reading. You cannot produce intelligent and smart students by telling them to go and read. The only way you can impart knowledge is through study, not reading. So, for we to have, that's why we are producing certificate graduates every year, year in, year out. We need to, I'm using this medium to see how Alice, because he has been pursuing how we can improve education. I've been following him for the last 2 years in his publication, in his outing, in his visit. All he does is education is in his DNA. How we can improve. So, Alice, please, I will beg you, Connie Media, I appreciate this discussion. I know it's more of Southeast, but I'm an African, I'm a Nigerian. We don't need, there is an initiative in America today called Tech in School Initiative. I think they are in New York. If we can collaborate with Tech in School Initiative, we will build, we can establish, all the East need is trade and investment innovation hub. The Easterners are known for investment. And with trade and investment innovation hub, I think we can break the barrier.
All right. Thank you very much, futurology. I forgot Kalakao. I'll say this. There's a reason why I always say Ali Igbo. There's a reason why we always say Ali Igbo. Because Ndi Igbo are not restricted to the southeastern region only. There are Ndi Igbo in Delta State. There are Ndi Igbo in River States, even in some other states in Nigeria, like Benue State. So I'm an Ndi Igbo generally, right? Even though there are impacts you can only make within the states that are controlled by Ndi Igbo, but our conversations don't only serve Ndi Igbo in Southeast. It serves Ndi Igbo anywhere in Nigeria. So that's why we use that Ndi Igbo.
Anywhere in the world,
yeah.
Not just anywhere in the world.
All right. Okay. I'm still asking the same question. How do we do this work? How do we get the kids in school? Quickly.
Okay. Let me chime in now.
I'm coming. The question is not how do we get this kid in school. We need to build.
Let's allow Dream to speak, please. Sorry, Dream. Go ahead.
Okay. Thank you very much, my brother Kunya. I greet you. Ogam Nokoeba, Ogales, I greet you, sir. As a Mabu to be back in there, the other day I missed him before I came up. He already left. You see, before I go on, I must also appreciate.
Go straight to the point, please. That's our rule here. Go straight to the point. We don't have so much time. We have less than 1 hour to go. Please.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Go straight to the point. Go.
You're right. So the thing is this: I think first and foremost, we need to, if there is any way we can take civic education seriously, we need to revive serious civic education in this society.
But what we're asking, sorry to interrupt you, what we're talking about now, if you have been listening to the conversation, if I could now build the basic, you cannot handle civic if you don't have basic education. So if I could now build the basic education, let me make it clear. Primary.
Yes.
Primary.
You know, the reason why I come from that angle.
Primary and secondary school is unattended to 100%. Yes. So we're looking at how we can achieve at least 95 or 98 or even 100% education enrollment at the primary and secondary level in our Igbo. This is the objective. How do we achieve that?
Yes, the reason why I came from that angle is this. If you check the way things are going on in the society, you will see that a lot of children, most of them are already losing interest in education based on how the society is being formed. So many of them, we need to bring back that interest in them through civic education. So many of them, it is not even that they probably lack the resources to go to school. It's just that so many of them, based on how the society is, a lot of them are no longer even having that interest. So many of them are being distracted a lot. So, and these are areas people are not even paying attention. Sometimes we believe that it is resources that is holding some of them. So that is why I came from that angle. Thank you.
All right, Rene.
Okay, Biko, let me just Biko, I know you didn't call me, but let me just say something.
You are free to come in anytime.
Let me say something. I don't know the civic education he's talking about, but let me see if maybe I understand from my own angle. I'm trying to say, all the very bad, if we in the Igbo land, if we still have children that are not going to school, those children see of Hano village, Hano township. I mean, who are we as Igbo people that na you're never at school? You're in your community and children are not going to school. Who are we now? That is where manga school, because I'm just trying to imagine in Oba to say woman's not at school no, but if you feel like Oba now, who is reporting? How are we training our children to become pure citizens by advocating for others? So are we all not supposed to be advocates? Like, advocacy is not for one person, school to be advocates of people that are school. On the hope on the papa giga primary school or secondary school. At this point, it will be a shame where we say that there were Igbo children that don't go to school, especially in primary and secondary school. So let's look at that. What solution are we going to bring to that? Anywhere Abenime village in just school, especially young girls. But these young girls, primary and secondary, so one thing they could not drop out when they go 16, 17, and I drop out to go and get married. But at the level of primary and secondary school, we have to touch that thing. Kedo obodo ke community enwe ụmụazị na-adara aga school na ke ndị nwezi data obodo enwe igwe na obodo a enwe ke ndị bụ ndị obodo a na ụmụazị ara aga school. So I'm just like trying to.
Very important question.
Mm-hmm.
Very important question. So I know if a name and a buy, I know who can name so that we can easily identify the places and then malo how to apply this collective work. Actually, very important. We are all aware, but open them when we fame about the areas or the states or the community or the local government, about them and where distant the stronger, more prevalent. Let us know. Let the conversation continue. Casey.
Yeah,
it looks like you want to come in.
I always want to contribute, but on the non-marker, I like how the conversation is going. As a continuation of Jaime last week, we're broadening the conversation now in regards to education. So just to comment on it on a much broader scale, I'm sure now, on the basic level, when we're a lot of people that are not involved in school, which from my own personal experience, and the experience of around me, people I talk to, all the good is more of an economic issue. People who can afford things that they need, financial needs, they can't afford it. As a result, they rather send the child to go and hawk, to go and trade, or to go and do something, as opposed to just school, which in itself is not the way it should be. It should be frowned upon. As a matter of fact, now this part of the world, all decriminalized. So I'm not why that should even still be happening. But what I also wanted to talk about is just far beyond the basic level too. I could go a lot about these issues of education, and it more or less seems like, for me personally, for much more of a funding gap. It comes to the point that it seems like a lot of the money that should be allocated to education and used purposefully, it's not being done. I'll give you a quick example. Even on this part of the world, if you're 19 years old, you're a citizen or you're a permanent resident, you have access to $3,500 that the government, not the federal government, the provincial government, not the Norca state government, will spend on you for you to equip yourself with any skill necessary to be employable and contribute to the market force. Easy. How do they lay it out? Again, at the program, at the website, you see a list of schools. At least go about 30 schools. You click on each school, they show you the programs offered that are worth that money. It ranges from programs in tech, UX design, it goes to project management, business analysis, creative writing. Pick whatever field you go, you register. The government pays the school directly. You equip yourself with the skill, and then you enter the workforce. Easy and straightforward as that. It's okay, convert to our naira roughly, or ranges to around 4 million naira or thereabout, which is still very, very expensive, for government to spend. But obviously, run right through our own school system, it's probably going to be cheaper than that, maybe like way less than that, a quarter of that or thereabout. But the big issue now, besides funding too, but culturally, or the Noka, we don't pay a lot of essence to education, especially from a governmental level. Quick example, we've been talking about National Library for how long? 2006 was the first time they proposed the renovation and how much they were going to spend. I think by then it was around 9 billion. It may go now, they're talking about 200 billion. That's 191 billion in gap if they would have completed this thing since. If you take that gap of 191 million, okay, let's put it somewhere else. Let's put it in this program like this that will equip people with skills and make them meaningful and valuable to the workforce. You probably maybe equip about 50,000 or thereabout, 47,000 people. So again, it feels like culturally we don't pay too much attention to the things that are important. We don't. Or maybe we know, or maybe we don't know, but the people just don't, the government just don't care. And all part of Inha Chukaneku earlier on that there is a need for the government to be held accountable. And then there's also a need for us to find ways we can approach these things without really involving the government. We've talked about in the past, endowment fund, special purpose vehicle, or whatever the trust fund is. Monka, they've launched the new the commission, like starting school for starting student for the Southeast. How valuable can that be? Can that provide enough funding I need? But it seems to me that one, there's a cultural disparity, and then two, there's a lack of funding. And I have a lot of the issues that we face. And I think if we start addressing the issues from those gaps, especially from a top-bottom, angle, then I think there might begin to be some reasonable solutions. And all my thoughts, honestly.
Casey, he could be very, very, very serious. Mana, for me, ajụjụ like, ụmụaka ndị a na-aga school ebe ka ha nọ. And the truth is, ọ ga-adị anyị very difficult ịchọpụta ebe ha nọ, because being able to track ebe ha nọ right now is very difficult. There's no merging of data anywhere. Mana, in my own thought process, especially the last time gara Igbo, Imo State, Abonyi Imo State, and I went around the closest source of primary education, especially to the less privileged, because most of these children who are not in school, maybe may not be able to afford the kinds of education that they need. So they'll most likely send these kids to public education schools. And if you go to the most of the public schools, the ones I saw, because I can't speak for what I didn't see, but the ones I saw, the teachers hardly even come to school. So for me, I think that if we're going to be realistic and say, okay, actually, reinforce the development in Alibo, it has to be taken up by communities. And that's why I like what Alex Neme and probably by Sister Gina, we have to take it back to the community. In Lanya now, most of those schools, Tikota, Ono, Tikato, as in Uchi and all those things, the communities can, to a very large extent, influence the quality of their schools. One for all for one. Look at the teachers. Maybe to a very large extent, get involved now. The kind of teachers now in those local primary schools, because all those local primary schools that would cater to most of these kids now Libo, and to a very large extent, it might reduce the number of out of school children, especially if the schools are even like goable or available and all that. So that's my thought process around the whole Ebeko Maka.
Yeah, and also in addition to it, I completely agree with you.
Yes.
Very, very well.
Thank
Because
you.
everybody my problem Nigeria. And if you want to solve it the normal way, it's practically impossible. So you just have to be innovative in your solutions. So I think the fastest way for us to do it, Ibuna, like you already highlighted, let's start with everybody. Everybody champion go to their own community. Then I mentioned we will need to be able to even take a margot how many communities and when I live. Everybody champion their own community. Then in any challenges beyond you will share it, because anyway, everybody are about the same. So we should be able to, by the time I exhaust go to all the communities I in charge involving, and when didn't be mad yet, then we can always, because this world is very small, we can always find somebody somewhere from that community list out. Because when people work for their community, their passion and their drive are different.
Absolutely.
So, and with that alone, our chances of getting a much better and faster result are a lot higher. So everybody champion all their own community. As a choker, that your community, because champion or based on the outline I get when. Basensu so Madi so I need him a madonna Nagagori school na community. I need him a madonna Naga. Going gaze in a different homes, different villages, different churches. Champion warrior. Then maybe there were challenges. Bring it to the house. So when we are now discussing, I now discuss the report. Based on report on my coordinate, and we're 200 people in my community. But I was able to get this one, the challenges in there. When you can see, yes, and then we got the same challenges. We can now discuss it. Then, okay, the communities I may go address in Alibo already. With so many more I may address. ka onye shi from Ezambo na Ebonyi, ka onye ma anya reach 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 people. Onwere ka ese mmadụ mee something for their 5, 7 of them put hand in their community. No matter how wicked had they definitely want a safe community. Otherwise, they kidnap one another now. So everybody definitely wants their community to be safe and better. So if we can be able to do those kind of things, I think na again way much no community effort with that force and energy. Because what will now happen, bro? Even all those things, even my senator cannot represent, we drag him. Fortunately, Oshi from my community. And the passion will always be there for anything that has to do with your own. So if we use that methodology now, I now report to the progress. It makes sense. So that I manage how to help others. And because we must give a timeline. If it's 1 year or if it's 12 months, so and then why not with this our schedule we get next one or situation report. So can I collect the data? Onye nke abịrịba, onye nke this, everybody collect their data. You understand? Then I gave me a smaller community, I feel me a wider community, called it realistic. Because if I may we are local government, all those big things, it becomes very difficult and complicated. Just that your community may go there first. So once I may go there, and I gather I'm okay in the Igbo, I am let's say 2,000 communities, and I cover goes also 54. We need to cover more. Can this share back? Can this share back? Can this share back? So by the time we gather all these forces, even check governor Enugu State, Rosema School, Obido from Owo, Eboshi, everybody always find a way to attach. And what he did is very good. I'm not against it. But the most important thing is that now everybody will definitely want to put their own community first. So all the important that we do it. So if we do it, I can assure you that now the chances of us to get that result that we desire be a lot higher. I was even talking about something like this in Amen and Go. Ahmad himself in my neighboring community in Sudan. They made the same thing when we finished, how made their own at some point. And when we were celebrating results, in Sudan they celebrated results. Yesterday was telling me how they did their own and how what we did inspired them and how they were able to get now as we were celebrating 100% just now. Don't want anybody in their community with less than 160 in a jam. And some
Alex, Alex, what would I give him and Ufunumena community? Just give us a brief report of Ufunumena your community.
So what we did was now we just normally just like this kind of discussion. We started by the decay on our community, and we need to fix it. You understand? Then we were able to quickly outline. I were long-term goals, like many things. Like okay, because I got all the schools known in my community, 100% of them. Fuchacha the state of the schools. Fuchacha must interact with teachers and the principals and all. Then I say, okay, this is very important. Naiga solve, but more importantly, first, ndị mmadụ ga-ede jump, and nekwe ihe ada na jump last year adọrọkwa mma. We need to fix it. That was when I had to tell them, for us to fix it, we need to invest in retraining them. Because oberọkwa na ekworo mmadụ ụgwọ jump. Ị na-akwụrụ ụgwọ jump, we itinye initial ga-ede na jump. So that was when we had to say, okay, can I create a school? So that as we are training them, we are assessing them. This was even when we did the first assessment, I realized ndị nwanne nene be made to be the computer for the first time. So which we never knew. So Kaima that one, we had to close that gap because it was zero half. So when we were doing it, because of them, we use Educare, fortunately, anyway, those advanced analytics that we can use to more nearly accurately predict. We already knew, okay, the gaps and then when I cover. So at the end of the day, to the glory of God, okay, the result to put. That's after that intense effort. It was very a passive engagement though. When we started, we were having meeting like 3 times every week, and we didn't get the last like 3 hours. And each meeting was very progressive. It was at some point, I think after 3 months into the program, that we started giving it like a 2 weeks gap or so. But we followed everything to the teeth. You understand? So this kind of changes, let's meet now, let's meet another 2 months. You may not get the desired result. So
Another question I like Ejigebo. You keep saying we. That means there was a collective effort. It wasn't just you. Can you put that we or your town union or just again your friends? How did you connect? How do you build that team? What brought you together?
So on this group one WhatsApp group we have Ngo Yellow Pages. So it's basically where we talk about Ngo.
Brilliant.
So but we now carved out Ngo Yellow Page education team from that Ngo Yellow Page. So now that team now it was just comprised of different people. Of course, so it's more like Lion Cham on wine in a way, because all of us grew up together. You get, so that was how we were able to do it. And then the senator knock on my plea, he was very, very involved as well. Yeah,
it was more of young people.
Yes, of course. I mean, young. Can anybody in the young self? So
only the less than 50 in Nigeria are phone as a young person. I don't even a young person teaching a youth.
And what are the more than 50?
Even a young people teaching a youth.
Majority the less than 40.
Okay.
I think it's just maybe 1 or 2. But on that will go 40 now there when they will go 40. So that's basically the
Kanjukwa again, this yellow page, Ngo Yellow Page, is it different from your Ngo Town Union?
I'm not coming there when Ngo Town Union. Ngo Yellow Page is basically what we use.
How did you guys start the Ngo Yellow Page? What the cause young people know the Ngo Yellow Page?
Not really. Some people be started, they only added me now the Ngo Yellow Page.
Okay.
So they just discuss about things, every single thing, opportunities. They just felt that I don't even know how they got the name Yellow Page, but they just started it. The only thing that caused my interest was this when Ogeku, that education thing. That was the only thing that was even the first time I responded on that group. It was a coincidence because normally that group not a mute about ATM and archive. But that morning I woke up very early, I think around 4 a.m. I was just looking at WhatsApp and they started writing that time. And that was the only time I know I could have read it. So that was when we started the whole thing. So that's like the
beautiful story.
Yeah, so
beautiful story. Beautiful story, really. If I get these questions so that we can learn from what you guys did, because
everybody. So there's one beautiful thing about that group. So yes, of course, because of my experience in building sustainable structures, I was able to put in systems that can guarantee it to work. Because it's not just about idea. I was able to put systems that I told them that I will show them how things work. Because one normal mantra and go, but if you do something or that work. So but I told them that I will show them Nankaga work and how it will work. So I was able to do that one. However, every single person on that group with a different perspective that makes a lot of sense. So the meeting was more like a refreshing session all the time. So
brainstorm.
Normally when the brainstorming session was really, really helpful. So as I was bringing my own ideas, other people were bringing their ideas. But one thing we are sure of is that every single day there was progress. Every single meeting. Like we don't do all those idea. So everything we are doing is like now we said, okay, we've already miniatured all our conversation. Let's start from closing the gap. How do we do it? So we put energy on discussing how we do it, and we make a conclusion, and then we move to the next stage. So that was how we were able to get to where we are going to, and that was how we succeeded.
This is a beautiful story. I think it's from what you're telling me, or from what you're telling us, I'm hearing that your effort was focused more on the area of JAM. Did you also include making sure that every child in Ngo was in school? Can you say that every child? Okay, you can't say that every child in Ngo is in school.
And not on our school, and that is one assignment. I be to handle this one now. I will at least get into my own village in Ish. Every child in Ngo and not on our school, but every child in Ngo will be in school.
That is beautiful. This is inspiring. This is how it works. Because I've always believed that government because government time is occupied by people who are not 100% interested in the people.
No, not just even that. Government is an art. Government was something like government, they're more complicated than running a multinational business. So, and people, because of the complication, and they are not even qualified to even run a startup. So you are now being given the responsibility of running, even if you did not steal, the chances of still performing very bad is way higher than you could have performed good. Check any working system. Government is very complex. So people
I agree with you.
So they see government as election. Election abroad government, election abroad governance. Governance is very robust. When you see a working system, if you know every single element, those working is aligned, yes. And you can't operate is a picture. All these things are rubbish. Overall government is very, very complex. You understand? So that's why in working systems, election is the least. Able president, you can never change the system.
Yes.
You are basically there to maybe do some veto power, 1 or 2. Also, Donald Trump cannot influence America. Neither can Biden influence America. Or is it for this British cannot influence any of these systems. Those systems are firm and being run by experts. So government is very complex. You understand? And if you see those people are not raw. That's why, because we keep getting distracted at Ezurego. Even if you did, everybody steals, unfortunately. But even if they don't steal, they still cannot run it. Or the too complex. That is why police in things keep getting worse because you don't know it. You understand?
Absolutely.
So I think that is why, as I understand these things, you understand, it makes a lot more sense to me. Why? Because you can't keep doing the same thing and expect a different result. So they should be what they call a proper school of governance, which is ideally political science a proper school of governance, because public administration they're very broad and not very complex. Because if people understand that whole public administration check in what it takes to run a business, the complexity it takes to run, the genuine required to run a business, how difficult it is. Now imagine what it means to run a state, which comprises of several departments, this and that. Then imagine what it is to run a country as complex as Nigeria, with diverse race, diverse this. I don't know if you get me. So it's too complex. That is the truth. So what we have is election riggers and election winners. We don't
Alex,
have politicians here.
Ekwesịrị na-akpọ gị onye mpịawa azụ. Ọ na-abịa na-abata na space, ọ dị ka iji mma dowe mma n'akụkụ like this. Ọ bịala ihe ịpịakwa ofu.
Ọ ka mma ka ekwu eziokwu so that we will have reasons to go back and start studying.
Ọ na-ekwu onye ọbụla na-collect bullet ofu.
In a calm manner.
Go to hell in the political science.
But Alex, create LM. Gini ka na go na that course because I know who Haguta because I know who the I don't know if it's me or but Odika.
Kesaro no politics na party ka na kuziri down. What do you
PDP. Here Nigerian politicians na-eme is ụfọdụ na-eme ha gaa law school ka wee nweta information a ga-eji kpe ikpe ma ọ reduce oge a ga-akwụlọ ya. Some ga-aga mama mi ha na-eme some o mekete business o feel na ọ dị popular o weta ego bibia election. They still don't understand na enwe ndị dị gifted to run
in administration.
Even normal student, not even student union, normal, let's say fellowship or normal class, in which some people they are fully super efficient
at administration.
Yes, in those administration they can do all those things: documentation, planning, supervision, discussion, which is all the very vast. Check in the rule like some of these advanced countries. Cambridge, Oxford, Harvard. Check in the rule America. Harvard, maka these American presidents can Harvard with that kind of prestige. You understand? And when you go through education at Harvard, you know the difference. But on
Absolutely.
I can say I'm a school, can I go to school? So when you are still trying to deal with, so the point is that now all the complex. So why I'm bringing that reference point is government abroad. Of course, you can't totally ignore government because if you ignore them, they will work against you. However, we still have to look for like a very clear, a very linear, transparent, and clear blend. But more importantly, because at the end of the day, we are the government. This is democracy.
Absolutely.
Democracy, from my understanding, is government of the people, by the people, and for the people.
For the people.
And when the people decide to move, there is no living thing that can stop them.
Absolutely. I agree, 100%.
So that is the reason why I am a secretary now that we're about to move. Everybody, hold on your own community. Hold on your own community. Let's move. Then nobody, because the truth of the matter, in the back of the heart of every Nigerian, only their community, them. You understand?
Absolutely. Yes,
and we're just very few. And that one is also based on strong ignorance. Being a Choroka community, them, maybe because of Ihane Elite, maybe by an or something.
The rot in the system. The rot in the system benefits the person. That's why.
Yeah, exactly. Very few of them.
Another part, this kind of projects they may activate, and that's a part that is very, very missing in our society today. That's the act of taking responsibility as a citizen.
Yes.
And it may highlight that. I think that if we go back to, because if you notice in our society, most of us and even as followers are disconnected from responsibility as a citizen. So this thing will bring it back. And you see, mobro night in tinye obara as in your blood into this thing. Yota. You got the more interested na onye nuga hofta as your leadership. Onye you vote in your society. And I think it may be like a small project, but it's not. That sense of responsibility is what is needed to make Nigeria better. So yes, we can keep pushing this from now to tomorrow. But I think that if we can get this part on lock, if we can make people get interested in not just my family members, but even the weakest link in your community, that community member you don't even know existed, but somehow you are involved in their education. It makes you come back. You want to know who is representing your local government, who is representing your constituency, who is at state and even at federal level. It's a little thing, but it spirals, and I am all for it.
Yes, and then what you said makes sense, because I was.
Can you go allow others to speak too, so that the space be interesting? Let other speakers talk too. Thank you.
Okay.
Onye na-ekwu ife a biko.
Yeah.
Ka onye kwuru okwu now.
Onye kwuru okwu a Mr. Eastern Leo.
Okay, iwe na-ewekwa go. Because we are sorry. We are very sorry. I sometimes we get carried away, but the thing is, we're trying to make our conversation more fluid and organic. So we try not to do that thing. More like we're having a conversation, and then when you see in an area where you can easily butt in and add to what is being said at that moment and even improve the conversation, you can easily come in. Do you understand? If that's how Bufo, that's how he was also coming in. Sometimes that's how, although Alex and Uche are like our guests on this show because they are experts, but every other person here has been coming in like that, including a number of persons. Sometimes, based on what you have said already, one of us, myself or the co-host, could easily direct a question to you because of if you could go before. So we know exactly your area of thought and know how to engage you. So feel free to come in. When again,
Ngawese something.
Oh,
So the input may be necessary actually. So the thing is, I was discussing with some older people, some elders, and some of the, in quotes, people that have some money. I was talking to them. So they raised the point that I never thought about. Has it that in the past they have tried to support people, pay for fees and all, but now some of their offers backfired against them. For those in a destiny in them man. Nah, nah, no.
What does that mean?
When he came to he called some of his nieces and nephews come back for Hogwarts school. Ụmụaka ha mechie dị misi na ụmụaka gbaa ọsọ si na ọ na-achọ akara aka ọ ga-eji wee increase his wealth.
How does somebody pay your school fees take your destiny? Because
I was telling
Nollywood,
them,
Nollywood.
I was telling them that I think if you approach your support from a systematic point of view, that it will be perceived better. But you may handle from individualistic point of view, you will be in between. You may get it right or wrong. So
very right.
Any of your support may have from the systematic point, so that it will now be a community-based approach, so that people see it from the community with Obohana individual. So I know that now in our quest to get our people and get more people involved, this thing now may also exist in your own community. So when you see it, some may say it, some may not even say it, but you can also pre-inform them on time. So that because a lot of other interesting biases will start coming, so that you address it even before they come. Because the whole goal is that every single child in Igbo must be in school. So no matter the challenge that comes, we must overcome it. A lot more challenges will come. So these are basically what I have to say.
Alex, am I still direct questions to you? Okay, which
okay. Because so let me stand on ndị ji mmadụ agwọ ọgwụ as na-ewela aka mmadụ, it's not really Nollywood. It's what people perceive and believe. And like you said, approaching it from the systematic, from the system is far better than doing it individually. But how are you also relating with ndị na-achị enyela aka? One of my uncle then that's now Bionata village, Okpoko Umu youth, Mela meeting, Wahankebe eziokwu, at that point. Manakita further day, Kuziama was just a Tora Alogego. So yeah, but and no village and where those mentality. But what I want to say is quite a little bit personal. I said it a little bit the other time. And I don't want you people to see it as me using this as an opportunity to talk about myself. It's just a reality that I want to buttress now. So being here in school, it's a lot of eye-opener, and I'm sharing it as a testimony while I'm also sharing a real-life story. Before I came to the school here, one of my challenges or one of the things I wanted...
Which school, Biko?
I'm in Harvard Graduate School of Education.
That is yes.
So one of the things, how do I bring this education back home? In addition to what I'm doing, how do I system and take it back home, knowing fully well my background? Because when you talk about my own background, my background is from that place, from that point where you're saying that I shouldn't have been in school. Like I say, me at the age of 17, and that could have been, my fate would have been sealed at that point. So a lot of people here knows this story, how I started coming online to beg for money, to ask our Igbo people to help me, to ask Nigerians to support me. I am in that public vein. I have also people who attacked me and said, "Onye zigamu Harvard, ama frozen school." Ndị ọzọ ga-aga nwaanyị ga-eji bụlụ nka ego ga-eji lụọ obodo ka m ji aga school, without even understanding what it means, to be in that place and what it will bring back home for others. So how we are trying to approach education from the grassroots, on the mother approach that education from the grassroots, and in the middle, how are we trying to pull them back ka ha lote n'anya n'azụ na ndị nọ ha n'azụ anya wee sị, I left this place and I want to bring back people home again, people to this point. I talk hello. That is why I always emphasize with what are the old boys doing? How was lion or hey, this is not building, but to build human capital, to say Niha can get melon, can we not years at their own place. We sell it Tiakwa Kanazo, Dogote, Njozon. So there has to be a way to see how do we start. There has to be a solution to everything I now. We are see where barata. Why I came out to solicit for help. I'm still soliciting it just in case. So indirectly or directly, I'm still asking because imane yopoti gesi fiche onye ozaro mana aroge ka dey wet. So how do we as connected people, individuals, see a problem and start tackling that problem? How do you look back and say, this is what I'm going to do? One of the things I've achieved here, because I had an extra year, I had an extra year. One of the things I achieved last year was being able to get that thing for my community. I've not announced it, I'm just announcing it indirectly, where I was able to get one of the Harvard Innovation Grant. And I went back to the community I was coming from, not necessarily my village, but this community. I'm na internet, but there were so many. I've been working with them for 4 years or 5 years now. So I went back to that community, look at in the next 1 year, 200. In the next 5 years, at least I'm 10. Ghana in a position where they will be able to spread out. So that thing I'm looking for, even in the midst of my hardship or not finishing school, I've been able to take that Harvard back home, because now most of our lecturers have seen the works I've done and they said they will be able to stay in Harvard. They have internet now, they have a computer, they have Starlink, at least Starlink will give them high speed. They will be able to stay here at Harvard and teach those children, and get them enrolled in other courses that they would like to help them do. So, why am I saying this? This is this same person that was homeless when I came to this school, begging Igbo people for money. Still begging, in case we are still soliciting to finish this school. But yet, I am here thinking about, I don't want someone to go through this thing I've gone through. But how do I also remember bridging that gap between people who wouldn't have that resources and my own, to give them that opportunity and to bring that resources to them. So that small center we opened, we'll be able to take care of at least 300 youths in that community, if not more, and that's why I said at least. So education in the context of myself, knowing what I know now is, kedu onye ga-enye m opportunity, kedu onye ga-egosi m ụzọ, kedu onye I think what tell me mama nweta ordinarily. So while I am still thinking of myself, I am already working on other people, and that is the spirit we need to embody to teach others that we owe each other. Onyaya na nwanne ya, the spirit of Ubuntu. Kedu ihe ịma? Kedu onye ịma? I know a lot of people that shamed me and say anya no contact onye ọ bụ na ụmụ onye. Ọ sị m enwe ka ọ dị nnọọ ịbịa nna ayọkwa nnọọ ọnwụkwa. So people, a lot of people shielded those things from me. That is why OJ did difficult. But at that point, I'm still happy that in the midst of all this hardship and suffering, I've been able to take Harvard back to Ali Igbo, and I'm ready to announce it very soon. I just say can nalute before I mention nnukwu ego.
My sister, because sorry to cut you off. Why they put the number the important. But we enjoy you because it's part of the conversation Monachika went the last time. Onye chọọ ime donation kita, onye chọọ inyelu gị aka in one or two ways, just as a way to appreciate the effort they make and what you'll be doing for our people. Kebo Geje, what's the best way to make that donation? Because I've from anything when I went to your page. Care the best way Madiwiki Sinyadaka or monetary donation or something like that. In wiki nya your account number, Kaiti and a Jumbotron or something, because there might be other people who might be interested and wanting to help and support you. Because how can we do that?
Thank you, Ni we will, because when the guy will be was, I called you to this space to talk about it, but I also have to be true to myself. Like while I'm talking about other people,
I that's why we're here. That's why we're here.
The truth is that the MONI show, Kunye generally is to promote Ife Igbo, and the MONI show is to give platform to Ndine Melundi Igbo Ife. Right? The idea is to make sure that Ndi Igbo na-eme ife ga-enyelu Ndi Igbo aka dozie ala Igbo. So ife onye na-eme ife na-eme or the evident, the visible, any way we can support the person, we will support. Chima Christian was here a few weeks ago. It was the same thing, I always tell himself now elaborately. I like the way Casey is doing it now. So obuno onye na-eba that is willing to support Uchenna Onwamegbu. I can graduate Kedebe back and the mother will to know on Harvard. We are sending our own to Harvard to acquire more knowledge, build better network, to be able to support and build our community. While she's still in school, that she created a connection between Harvard and a community she identified in Igbo. So ndị nọ na Harvard na kuzilo ụmụaka nọ n'ala Igbo nkuzi.
Ha ga-ebido kuzibe.
Okay, ha ga-ebido kuzibe because she has been able to set that connect. Imagine that level of initiative. Where can I go akwụkwọ? Then imagine how much more she can do or she will be able to do when she has finished. So ọ bụrụ na enwere ike ga-esi nyere aka support where you can always reach out to her. Mana anyị na-ajụ ọ bụ na ọ nwekwa nke ọ ga-enye anyị as a funnel. That's also good.
I will go back to my page and reshare it's in my page, but in my Twitter and Buddha, so I'll still go back and reshare it. So for it's public,
Okay. Uche, another person can help you with this. Or by expert Nanka.
Uche has been very resourceful and helpful. So Kenelo no mi also nandina bara from.
Afuche bụ kwado. Afuche bụ is AKA kwado ndị Igbo.
Madam Uchenna, I really want to appreciate you. There's something you said. So, Madam Uchenna, there's something you really said that I really like. You said bringing Harvard back to Igbo land, and that's what really matters, and I will tell you why I say so. You see, there's something that happened in America. When you hear Silicon Valley, when you hear California, there was a particular prof, I've forgotten his name. Then he was in Stanford University. So during the Second World War, they didn't give Stanford University enough money. They gave them $50,000, US military. And he went back to, I think MIT or what I Harvard. Then after the war, he came back and he brought back the system he found in his postgraduate school there. I think Harvard or MIT back to Stanford and reformed Stanford. And according to history, said because of what he did in Stanford, the reforms he brought, Stanford University began to produce graduates that had an impact on the economy of California. Today, California is the 5th largest economy by GDP in the world, $3.9 trillion. If California exists as a country, that is their GDP is going to be the 5th largest. Now, there's something I want Mr. Alex to also understand. Mr. Alex, we should not just aim at everybody going to school, because the kind of school we have in Igbo land now is not worth it. Not everybody does going to school. It is what we targeting now is the schools we have. How do we have a school system, or whether it might be conventional or unconventional one, that can have a positive impact on the economy and also the social aspect of our people. That is what we should be pursuing now. Because what I'm saying is that if everybody go to school in Igbo land, or every Igbo man goes to school based on Nigeria current educational system, we will still be producing junk. If you look at today, there are many graduates today, both from secondary schools, whether secondary school graduates or university graduates or polytechnic graduates, you find out that they are almost inferior material, except when they go out of the country before they can now get, before they can be able to like catch up with the global system. So we need to look at an educational system that can have an impact on our economy, on the economy of the Igbo nation. The way Stanford University had an economy. As I said, Mrs. Uchenna, I really appreciate when you said you are trying to bring Harvard back to Igbo land, because to be frank with you, what we have in Igbo land now cannot really make us compete in the 21st century. So we need to look beyond just everybody going to school. We also have to look at what kind of school are we bringing into Igbo land. And that kind of school we bring into Igbo land, can it have an impact on the economy? There's something I've said several times on Twitter Spaces whenever I come up to discuss. Like our university system in Igbo land in Nigeria is faulty. I've always talked about we introducing student research and development project work scheme. If the federal universities and polytechnics will not introduce that, states ought to introduce. So what am I saying is that any of us who gets to power too should also include it. Why? Because once we introduce such and also make sure there are funds available, we're able to integrate our educational system with the economy, and it's going to have a serious boost where a lot of our people will be able to graduate with things that they can with products from their innovations that they can sell. So with a little bit funds, like what Jonathan did during his own time when he was the president, you win. They could set up their own companies, and the next thing you know, jobs will improve. A lot of companies will be created. Employment will increase. Then people have more money to be able to send their children to school. You get the point? That is long-term implication. So what I'm trying to say, not to waste people's time, is individually we should not just look at everybody going to school. How do we bring back those kind of schools we see in Europe, in America, that their school system? How do we bring it back to Igbo land so we can have an educational a school system, whether conventional or unconventional, that can have a serious impact, positive impact on our economy and our social life. Now, let me also talk about the issue of our social life. You know, when you look at Nigeria, for example, one part of the country that have made serious, that have always voted wisely, is the Igbo nation. The people will say any person Igbo people reject, knows that person a bad market. Yes, that area, education has played a lot, but we need to also look for how do we also have that school system and make our people make wise decisions when it comes to politics, when it comes to religion, when it comes to marriage, when it comes to culture, or several things. That is, if we have a good
right.
Okay, want to say something?
I'm just trying to refocus our conversation. We don't want to. We don't want to take it to too many places. You know, there's something that Alex suggested in this conversation, and that has helped us a lot, which is to focus on a few things that we can easily dive into doing, you know, to achieve measurable results. So that was why we said, okay, let's start with the basics. That there are many kids out of school. So if I may ask you, where do you come from? What community do you come from? Okay, sorry. But do you have plans, or if you're to go into your community to do what Alex is doing, what ideas would you like to implement that you would also suggest for others to implement when they're going into their community to do the same thing that Alex did?
Now, in
to
my
ensure
own
that?
place, where what we focus on in our own place is vocational training. Like one thing we emphasize there is even while you're going to secondary school, you should have part time to acquire some skills, computer skills, other kind of skills, so that if you cannot even get, you cannot go further to the university level, especially those in secondary school, you're able to start up your own business. By doing so, you will not be how like you will to will not be totally unemployable. Like you not be like stagnant and like not be you not find yourself only being restricted to like let's say Orutimbo. They call it my side Orutimbo. So we in my own side, what we keep emphasizing whenever we who are graduates who are doing fine come together is we tell our younger ones, while you are going to secondary school, focus, acquire skills, so that if you cannot get to the university, if you cannot go to university because this money we are gathering cannot get to everybody cannot be supported. It's just some few brilliant ones again. But those who are not fortunate enough with the skills you have, be tailoring skill and the rest, you're able to do what? Take care of yourself, able to survive.
Let me ask you, do you have an idea of how much kids are in school in your community? The enrollment level, if you are to rate it, like, yes, like how many percent if you are to rate it?
By percentage, in my own place is 95%. We have high, very high. But the problem there now is how. Yes, not as I said, but I don't want to. If I open a review to you, you will know.
No, you don't need to.
I don't want to talk much on
that
because of security reasons. So
I understand.
Is 95%, very high. We started taking. We took education serious in my place because about more than almost 100 in the 1920s, the 1930s when the white men came with Christianity. Our people, our fathers, like my own grandfather, attended up to standard 5 in his days. My grandfather, I'm not even saying my father, and my uncles schooled outside the country before independence. My grandfather's children, they schooled. So my father is also educated. So we know the value of education and began to take it very, very serious. We began to encourage our people. So it's very high. But the only problem we have now is that they emphasize so much on they don't emphasize on vocational training, so that after once they're through secondary school, those who cannot go to university at least have something else. That's what we are hammering on now.
Okay, it makes a lot of sense why you guys are, because you have taken care of the basic. That makes a lot of sense, and congratulations to your community. You guys are ahead of most of us, and that is that's something worth emulating. Is laudable. Like you said, and we keep us in the privileged community. Anyway, let's take more solutions or more suggestions and more submissions. Anybody can butt in here who have not spoken yet. Coleman, how is it going in your community? What is your assessment of your community in terms of enrollment into basic schools, primary, secondary? What are you looking at doing? Coleman, can you hear me?
Coleman, Cabo, listen, and I get because any uncle.
No, you got Michael. Or let's move to the mic.
You know, Bros Ike are available.
Bros Ike.
Okay, good evening, everybody. So I'm actually happy to be here. So I was laughing when the last speaker, the last speaker was saying that everybody in his community actually had actually gone to school, and the kids are all in school. So I'm like, oh, okay, problem solved for them. So but piggybacking on what he said, Emma, there's something that Donald Trump said. Also, that if you're in school, pay attention. Education is a money-making machine. When people hear things like this, they don't actually understand how weighty it is. When you go to school, you can do literally anything that you want to do. So when somebody comes here and is telling you the importance of education and trying to find a way, to get kids, get young worker in school, the last thing you actually should do is to come and, be I'm sorry to use this to be a wet blanket. It doesn't really help us. Maybe your society had actually gone very far. A lot of people are actually struggling, because I can actually relate to what some people are saying here. In my community, there was something that happened. My grandfather didn't go to school, but then he was one of those people that actually went out of ozone. So he made sure that now his own children got school. But when my dad them now came back to the east after the war, they decided to come back to the southeast, and they were going to the village, because their mothers had to move to the village. One thing they realized, Bona, a lot of Umakan at the village at Aga school. So they spent like a lot of their money, a lot of their time, can make sure that most of these children got school. And those children went to school. Some of them actually didn't complete the education, but some of them continued. Another thing that happened was those ones that continued the education, they graduated.
Hello? Hello, Bros Ike. Are you still there?
I think we may have lost
I
him.
think we've
I'm
lost
here.
him.
Yeah. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay.
Sorry.
Okay.
So-
please minimize the stories and then hit the point. Okay.
Oh,
the
good.
solution.
So
Yes.
what I'm trying to say is that now Kafa training, a lot of these children, Ndinke training now came into the system and started helping them to train other children. But somewhere along the line, there's only so much you can do. So now the problem was in the community, because some of the kids that were left behind, Unuma, what's happening in the southeast now. So some of these children that were left behind, what we are now noticing, now the community WhatsApp group and everything, some of them actually have gone back to paganism. So people were able to sell all those, I won't call the name of some of the groups that were selling those kind of things to them, so they were quick to buy into all those nonsenses. And it's become a problem for us now. And I was now telling my cousins, I'm like, if we had actually caught these kids early, if we had done what our parents were doing, if we had invested earlier and caught these guys, we wouldn't actually have had this problem. But now it's become a problem. So now we have adults that we are trying to rehabilitate. Meanwhile, we would have actually picked them up while they were still younger. So all the very important that now at every point in where the opportunity to give anybody education, try as much as possible, to give it to that person. No matter, even if you're okay with you and your children and your immediate family, the next person, always try to make sure. So what you guys are doing here, they're very, very good. The last thing I want to say is, this, a lot of people may not like this, but that's the truth. I have cousins. They are not engineers like I am. But when you come back and they see you, they think, oh, you're an engineer. Oh, you run a company. Oh, okay. They will come to you, employ my son. And you're like, okay, what did your son study? He studied government, economics. And you're trying to let them know you don't actually have to work in an engineering firm. They say, oh, that there's some tech things that they can do it. I hear that they do tech things and they can quickly come work for you. I'm like, it doesn't work that way. A lot of people are being sold lies that you can study one course and come and you break into tech the next day and you make it. You're going to get frustrated if you're not really equipped. So please, Obunime, something that is not related to tech is going to be harder for you. So you have to know what you're coming into. Don't buy all those lies that people sell.
All
So
right.
people sell these things to make money.
All right.
So please, I'm using the opportunity to let people understand that too. Thank you.
All right. I actually, there's something I've been expecting to see here on this conversation. We have two people who have invested years in education, as Igbo, and they are doing work. One is running a business, a major business that's providing services for the education sector, and also doing projects to revamp education in this community and other communities, and help kids to do better, to increase, to improve their performance in JAMB and other exams. The other one is running a community, running a school, also going to school to be able to do more. What we would have loved to do is to engage these people with questions, because they are in the field, and ask them questions about things that we are looking at, things that we're concerned about, and see whether we can extract more information from them and understand better how things work. That's why we brought them here, and that's why I've been engaging them with questions. I've been throwing questions at them all the while, but sometimes we also want to have other people coming and contribute to the conversation, bring their own point of view. But I would like to go back to asking some questions, because I can a lot to ask Alex and Uchenna. So my co-host, you people are free to also butt in and bring in any questions you want to direct at Alex or Uche. Again, thank you once again. You are on the MONI show. Igbo. We do this every Saturday, 8 p.m. And I name here sometimes 2 hours, sometimes more than that. Like we always say, although I forgot to announce it today, we live stream on YouTube and Facebook, just in case you have relatives or friends who don't use Twitter, who would want to join the conversation. You can always find us on youtube.com/Kunir-media. That's where we live stream and also put post-production of our shows there. And then on our Facebook channel also, facebook.com/Kunir-media official. You can always find us on those two platforms. I would like to appeal for everybody who is here, who uses Facebook. Please go and find us on Facebook and like our page, so we can increase the number of people using our page, so we can do much more. Because the more people we have as subscribers on our page, the more we can use the features on the platform. Let me throw some questions at Alex and Uche together. Any of you can answer this question. I wanted to.
I'm trying to Alex. Maybe you chama working.
All right. I was actually waiting for you guys to come in when I said it. Anyway, draw your question. Go ahead.
All right. Thank you. Thank you, Na. Yes. My question is to both. I would ask Alex a question and Majuka, my sister Uchenna. Mr. Alex, influencing community education. I've actually looked at it in my own community, and most of the questions I asked, it was almost involving state government. So how did you and your community navigate around governmental allowances? What exactly, where did you get to come in? To either avoid the governmental part or even collaborate with the government? How did that work? That's for my sister have a liaison like connected to a community, right? I know that yes, Ochori Pido, so I'm very sure Ochori Pido is your Kickstarter. Nigeria, Malo to the other communities. Mobro no where other communities are able to become connected. Or Nabro, that particular community.
Okay. Amomne, when you were speaking, for some reasons you could take your voice out, but I don't know whether it's my phone or your own voice.
I kept quiet because I felt it was just exclusive to me.
Okay. So
Really?
I just
On with some parts, you
no, I
didn't hear.
heard you clearly. I just wanted to be
Okay.
sure that can happy each and every or not yours.
Okay.
So the thing is, what we do, what we did it irrespective of government. Government will, because our community by our community. So with the but however, there's also a bit of, could I use the word luck and coincidence, because for the first time ever, the somebody from my community is a senator. You understand? And OC himself have always been somebody. Sure, before OC, when OC used to teach on the Nakwado Jam physics, because all the very good at physics, he used to teach, but actually a lot of people. So what I was saying is, aside from we, because like I said, we really don't care. I want to move on our own. However, there's also a bit of luck and coincidence, because for the first time, I am a senator in my own community. OC himself normally he used to come he used to teach physics. Then I got a child people are quite prepare her for jam, teaching them for free, even before he went into business and went into politics. So him being part of us, because I think it's even more advantageous for the Enugu West, because this program we did now, they are now doing it for the entire Enugu West. So I think it's more beneficial to them. However, Unguo still remains Unguo. We don't do politics. Our own interest is just for our people. We don't even seek support from them. You understand? The only advantage is I think they ever use for the lesson. I think Nwebe Kwaramadu Nona Arubu before, where we now use as a permanent place. We were able to ask the senator, and I need that place so that the children can use it. And that was the benefit. Open I am somebody in government, probably that could have been a little bit more. Although we will definitely find another place. It's not like it must be there. But however, that place, that's basically what I can tell you, that now benefit, now use the advantage of government. But aside from that, we move, we don't care. You understand? Because in my government and their bureaucracy and all those things, we never wanted government from day one. Because even the funding, I want the funding, so it's not like now I need the government for anything. Because we want to move. Because if you have a government, it will start getting complicated. And honestly, I usually don't like anything government. Not like Igbo also.
Yeah, so Henkwaju Alex, because you see the local primary school in my area were like government primary school. So it's a little tricky. As in our private school now, we could just liaise with the owner of the school. But now the primary school in Yoblanaga is like a public government school in that area. So Hemjaju, how did you navigate those particularly very muddy waters?
And we hear Ghana commissioner, they will respond fast. And we hear Ghana commissioner, they will respond in another 4 years. So some of these things, let's use facility. They usually respond very fast. Commissioners of education, I think they are usually easy to meet, even at their offices, if they are not having meeting with the governor. So if you can approach them now, have just specific things, I think they can easily give those things. Or that they are difficult. Or contract, all those things. I will get back to you, Abuza Fanagi. So I think those kind of things are not that difficult to get. So if you go to the Commissioner for Education, now have approval, or just their letter there, but then go to him, because they always like the whole formal process. You just their letter, but then you go to the Commissioner of Education, see who need the use or something. I don't know if you get me. So now the thing is, if you do it there, I think when you I don't think there's any Commissioner of Education that will not move very fast on those kind of things. So try, if there's any issue, any friction, you go, I think we can reach any commissioner on that. It's very easy. And directly, and then they will respond. I don't know if you get me. And what any issue
Yes,
like
I
that,
heard you.
we
I
can
heard
easily
you.
reach them. So
Okay.
I don't know if I was able to answer your question.
Oh, yes, you did. You did. And I'm certain some of us here too are going through that, are thinking of those, muddy waters that you just clarified now. Yes, the Commissioner of Education would be a good start. And time for go to Gaga. Thank you so much,
Just
Mr.
avoid
Alex.
so many. So you just make it sure the best way to reach them is just either another letter and submit it normally, but just go straight to their office for the commissioner, request her to see the commissioner. They will let you, have it difficult to see. They will let you see. Just go each what they will approve.
All right, since Obadra.
Yes.
Obuzi, my sister, Uchenna. Ne, ngwane.
Biko, repeat go the question. Game in a n'ime that time, but now your voice is clearer. Oh,
Sorry about that. Campo also ask him na the Onani made that liaison to your community, to that community that you connected, HRE Bido. And I know him now. So, or the possible now other communities that be connected to this project, HRE Activate.
why not? Why not? In the world of digital age, that is why it is possible that someone from a school here will connect to a place in somewhere in Anambra. So it's just when they talk about digital literacy, I know firsthand that digital literacy wouldn't happen if a child doesn't have access to internet, a child doesn't have access to computer. So while so everybody will all on alo, just like what Alex is doing in Mago. If you look deep into his work, you see the streamline of what he's doing, and he's solving a very big problem that needed to be solved. So when you look also downwards, you find out that now so when we talk about development, everything, there is a big gap between having access to resources and not having access. So for you to talk about development and digital, they need really access and resources. So that access and resources is what I am trying to provide. So if it's going to expand to other communities, then when they will go those computer, internet, and with big schools that have them, they can tap into those resources. Where I am also focusing on to bring and to bridge that gap. So yes, it's possible. And the content and the curriculum we are trying to create can reach out to anybody, irrespective of where they are. Because any Sunday and when they even non-US that also need access to these lecturers. I mean, these are top-notch lecturers that are in this school. So there are other children in other parts of the world, from the Nigerian community to African communities, that also will be able to have access when we set up those platforms.
Okay, very important.
In addition to Hiku self, Uche, among the focal news within the Rwanda, their new this thing, right?
Okay, I forgot or today or recent news.
Or the internet?
The internet thing.
Okay.
Funnily, two countries reached out to me when this whole thing, the Gambia and the Rwanda. And I was surprised. Confused their own. So Rwanda had an quantity. Ebe Nigeria na-arahụ ụra ndị a na-agba ọsọ. So the thing is that they got inspiration from in Nigeria. I want to Nigeria. Then Rwanda. And I bet you just 50 km. You'll see that Rwanda probably do like almost every single public school in their own country. Kagame is a very serious person. My people got one of the robotics something at his country. The man just came, showed up. There are more than 1,000 people that came. We gave all of them laptop on the spot.
Can you imagine?
This robotic Lego world.
Lego robotics.
Yes. He's a very serious human being. Yeah, so Nigeria can So I like how he radical. So sometimes you can be preaching to Ndi Igbo, also somebody else now know the message. You understand? I like how he's rapidly democratizing and be radicalizing his own pursuit because Rwanda wants to be the number one in Africa. Say
They
how gonna
are
have for
going
value.
towards that. Yes, they
Yes,
are.
yeah. It how gonna
Enwe
change.
one woman no ebe a kita. In fact, I'm always writing her can be apprentice Nankia because that's the way I also learn. She's American. She's married to a Rwandan. And Masege, onwe donors in tech that gives her $1 million every year. 1 million. Nke a ofu donor mma o. Ndị ọzọ bụzi ndị in hundreds. So she's working with like 30 something schools in Rwanda. Bringing every resources. So these are the things that the things we look at and say our people can benefit. The target for our people, By the time in well the target, touch and school, community reference. So these things, or that be just like that, is strategic. We need to be strategic about, bringing development and building our people. Or that be just but how are we strategic about it?
Yeah,
Biko Uche, onye isi na onwe onye na-ebe a nụwa, ọgụ akpọtara ya.
Mba, na-asị na ụmụ onye nọ na skuul I mean,
Okay.
ebe
Eche m na space a.
Mba, ọ bụrụ na space a.
Ma ngasị abịa tụrụ anyị kpa nkata biko anyị na-achọ ndị ga-agwa anyị ha na-eme ka anyị na-amụta.
But Emma, there are some stories that you say because many of these things are driven by storytelling. There are some stories that you tell in the global space. Ego Gana also. May imagine when we are saying that now and 50 from let's assume hypothetical figure let's assume 50 million and I say now every single child is in school and our big concern now is we want to improve the quality of education and then when some other clear goals you get some of these things it triggers them. Even on the Rwanda too also wants to. I mean, there are so many funds there everywhere. So it just all depends on what are your goals, because Africa are stuck and no do. But once we are already doing a lot, and then we are not saying this, it makes more sense. Because
I believe it. It's true.
Yeah. So we can always, even without even getting external funds. There's a lot of Igbo people, a lot of them that are willing to even commit their funds. Just that now, they need a clear goal and they need a proper working and consistent system. So once you will be so surprised, they get raised within, got it 100 times more than you can even raise from external.
Like Sophia Kwari.
Yeah.
Let me tell you. Let me tell you. Just that
I like this conversation. Go on, Alex.
Just that I intentionally ignore. A lot of people write me, I just ignore them because I try to manage all these things. I'm not prepared for it yet. If I tell you the amount of people that write me on those kind of things, a lot of them. Some of them we cannot ever against. But I intentionally ignore sometimes. Because I didn't even ready. And we were one or two that I will say, okay, let's say this particular child you wrote about, I want to sponsor the person. Even on the Yoruba, even this woman, Madam Awe, she's sponsoring somebody. Na my village, Akwe Yoruba, on that sponsor mad na my village. Naga school. I don't know if you get me. I see a lot of them from different parts of the world. Mandi Yoruba, Mandi Hausa, they are sponsoring different kind of random people. Let's not talk about Ndichi and Mandi Igbo. So just that, see, you need to understand, I ain't type of flesh and blood. Everybody wants to align with a mission. And once your mission is clear and done with mass impact, you even when you don't where they go by force. It's just even this Germany 2 days ago. A lot of people are saying, Biko, Biko, say, hold on. I will tell you when to come in. It's not like Nordero, but these things needs to align. And you will be so surprised, even DK Rich Iguche. Forget about Nord. I have never believed in anything difficult. I have never believed it.
Alex, can I
Go
come in
ahead.
quickly?
Go ahead.
I think this is interesting because for me, for the first time and both of you not in agreement in a single subject. And it's interesting because I'm not sure if we after the last show. So now if there's one thing I feel like the last show did was connecting you both together. I think it was very phenomenal and interesting. And I like him here so much. And Uche and I expressed a lot of the struggles and challenges she experienced personally. That last show, even on this show too, hopefully, especially when it comes to funding. But it's interesting angle why I say no, that there actually are people willing to spend money. So where is that gap? Uche, get some of those struggles, if you can actually say it in details. I'm not normal because Alex has said, all internationally, all the knock or easy. Rwandans have donors. Uche, now you said it. But Odisi Naka, nationally, are people finding it difficult to allocate funding and capital to things like this? Care your challenges personally, Uche, and maybe we can find a way that Alex can, proffer some solutions and some of ideas on where go. May your DZA or the easy to access some of those capital.
So let me be very, very realistic. So it's going to take me like 2 minutes to summarize this. So when I got my admission letter, it gone on at 350, 360 naira per dollar. This was in March last year. So yes, I'm very correct. February, March, or January. So I calculate to go Muna my family and say, okay, if worst comes to worst, every month we can be able to save 360,000. It might go $1,000 to pay off the bill. But so by the time onye no one oga na ligo n'elu when I say I remove go subsidy, dollar raised from that 400 or 350 to 800. We know this story. So by the time I got to school, I did go stranded. But him and Abia say I water financial this thing. Oh, we go kaisi water people from financial institutes. Can you go doing because if you're an Igbo person, if you are struggling, you need to know, you need to be strategic. So I batago then mother disease stranded, I was stranded to the point that I was sleeping from one hostel to the Nje na Nkonya Monday. Ntageti onye mejebe na nkia. Japan and Konya. So that's the real fact of my story. So the truth remains that I came public in Bombadozim known. Now you're my Nigerians, my Igbo, everybody. But immediately you put in a post in your ego. Maybe I don't have a strategy, but what other strategy do I have than to come outside? More I got from all the support I'm looking at. I said I would say I got 15% of all the things I'm looking for, which I'm very grateful because no one don't know any problem. Okay, so the challenge remains who is ready to help. I got Bitcoin Chief. I went directly to his inbox to ask him, and he supported. So the struggle still continues. The funding I got from Harvard is not for my school fees, it's for a project, and God knows that mother so I put it back to the work because when targets, I want them to see what that little money can do so that doors can open for bigger ones. So the struggle for me is who would talk, who would solicit on your behalf, who is going to talk on your behalf, who is going to help you reach out to people they know that can support. Or a man has said, Harvard, and a second can ask, a man said, no, me with admission, money, or even as it is now, I'm even telling people, if you want to pay to the school directly, just go and give the school directly, so don't even give me because that's what will help me, to make sure that I clear my debts. And again, as a matter of fact, I'm having an extra year because obviously, I can't even I personally graduated last year, but I had an extra year because I was and I became unashamed about it because people need to know the truth about struggles of some people. Not everybody. I don't think not everybody that got through these things I'm going through. Where I started believing that onye funde na succeed in our Igbo. Speak out for that people because these are the people, even without me finishing, I've already started advocating for what I want to happen in Igbo land, and it started happening. So you can imagine Nangola without pain, where time to strategize on the things I want. It could have been more better, but Ogobnan now I strategize koyenga wa koyenge de letter keka ngesi lalo keka ngesi menka keka ngesi we so these are the real facts of the struggles that I've been through.
So actually,
if I may, I will just touch that. Then Alex and Casey, you guys can go on. Okumwifo are the very, very remarkable. Are they illegal? What she's trying to say is that all these people that are running NGO, soon they find them. Actually, those you would die. Actually, men cause not they go from the foreign donors or wherever donors. If you are you are not supposed to touch that money. Or if you want to cover here, about no more access to money, but that money is meant for what it is meant for, and she has enough discipline to restrain herself from touching that money, even though she needed money so desperately. This is an example that we can learn from. This is a role model. You can see why I call her champion. Can you?
Yeah, actually, glad you mentioned that, Chuka. Alex actually made joking now because Ihuchinna could be very, very interesting. For me, I find like the disparity wiki Bona, supporting an individual as opposed to supporting an initiative. Although there were correlation, but people might find it hard to see that correlation. But not in her shoes, not in this situation, can he get me? What would you have done?
I think
Alex?
you started by answering the question already, because and now when she was speaking, for some reasons asked him that matches him, boy, I can't go there because honestly I'm mad at me and I even had somebody that finished from my friend went one program at Harvard recently. And I think she had funding challenge, but then she was able to figure it out. Maybe I will also ask her to. So people find it difficult to support individuals, truly. But people find it more exciting to support initiatives, especially when it has to do with mass public impact. So maybe why EJN issues is probably because it's related to individuals. So it's more like help. And Amadi may go in a cook and Ima sometimes, let's say for instance, you're looking for $80,000. It better mean $80,000. Ncheche ka ebe m ga-echi bido. Nkwụsị piki call gị. Just to be nice.
Ebido kwa na $50 because
So but ọbụ na ebi asị m biko na ihe na-achọ bụ just tinye tụnụ m $10. I don't know if you get me. It's a lot. I can, without even thinking itself, I can even give you 50. I don't know if you get me. It makes more sense. So that one is helping individual, because when I help, doesn't expect anything in return. But if somebody that is supporting an initiative, what the person is expecting in return, because of my support, 50 children are going to school in my community. Based on that, it can even be a point of reference for me. It can also be for the fact that all of them are going to school, gives me satisfaction. I don't know if you get me. So I think, I need what you may analyze, but I think I've already clearly seen where the gaps are. All that because it's individual based. That's why you are struggling. Anybody that comes from that individual base, it's unless with strong network and personal network and people trust you so well, then I think it will be a lot easier. I don't know if you get me. But what I'll do is that I'll discuss, you can let me even understand what you are doing and even the program. Probably I will have more inputs to give you on that one. They'll probably give you a better strategy to be able to get the funds. Then it's another way again, raise $1 million. How haven't you been able to gain access to something from that person? Maybe it will be part of our discussion. You understand? So I think we'll discuss that one off this place. Since I'm on, because I was thinking maybe you were looking for funds for maybe some of the children you are taking to Harvard or something. So that was that has always been my thoughts. I know that those kind of things are that difficult. But if it's this one, your challenge is normal, it's expected. So we'll definitely just think through it to see better ways to navigate through it. But by God's grace, you will sort it. It shouldn't be much of a problem. But we'll
Thank
just
you.
discuss it.
Thank you. But if we go the reason why people put deep hands in the wrong things, or so let's say I say I'm trying to help people and I can't even, you can't help me, but you want to help the initiative, which is beautiful. Then I need help. Do I need to go to that initiative you've helped to go and start helping myself?
There are so many ways to see.
Mhm.
Funding can be very complex. Some funding can also be very
Yeah.
easy. I was with someone yesterday. The person had a similar challenge like you on a one university here in Austria. And what the person walked up, went for the first time, they rejected. Second time, they rejected. Third time, they rejected. The fourth time, he told them that he's an outstanding student. And if they want him to leave. So when he came in that direction, they gave him I think 80% discount. So first, second, third failed, fourth one worked. So the thing is that there are diverse ways. That's again, I got about that one. I don't think it's something we should
Okay. Thank you so
discussing here.
much.
Okay,
Thank you.
so each kpọrọ nkata Ghana backyard ka anyị nwa miss out of it maka na anyị daga Harvard.
No, the thing is that I will first of all understand what she's doing. By the time I understand it, we can now roll thoughts together.
Okay. Anyị nwa na-anọrọ na Harvard na Austria University nsogbu adịrọ ka anyị chewe unu kpacha nkata na-abịazi ya.
Unu na-ekekwa ego gwanụ m and send unu account number.
I think I have a local government.
Honestly, this conversation can't say all the go obvious that the conversation about education na Igbo is very broad. Like I decided I maka human capital development, but anya probably na kai video last week anya ka fraud na ka self. And this shows you how important this issue is for the Igbo. People are always saying, "Oh governor, oh governor, oh governor." The truth is that you have to understand what's going on first. Then while you're understanding it, you're now figuring out how to get into solving it. I know we have less similar ever. It's suggested that we start with the lowest hanging fruit, and that's what we pivoted to. We focused on it. Okay, which is supposed to be the easiest thing to do now. Then from that, we can now move to, okay, how do we now improve on the curriculum? How do we improve on the Teachers Training Institute and the process of training teachers? How do we introduce standardization? How do we introduce accountability? And that's why vocational education, I was like, I can get back whenever one day, because it can be a different conversation on its own, So we haven't even scratched it yet.
And when we even get to that part, even the dimension I gave you, like I told you, I thought I go to Europe within just this 1-2 weeks. And it was intentional. After Chagom, even the real vocational education, I am. So, but I don't just want to go there.
No, we can't.
You get one spoon before you.
Yes, I go one, I will go two. Yes. And all the mates work, I will weekend and water. So, on your own, they feel any individual action. Identify your own community now. Identify your own community. Find people within your community who are interested in this. Then you guys can work together. Ban a community. Never may assessment. And
then I also want to give an advice. If you want to move, be in motion then, but as people to join you. If you want people to join you to start moving, you may never move.
That is you.
So in case they refuse to join, just keep moving. And you can start in the systematic way of Marugode Madonena as much as you can. Of course, you may not know or Omakani know. Then you can even set small targets within the next 1 month. Can potentially mobile madu 50 or 100. We need to be able to get them back to school. Tinyeha takara. Ebido. You understand? And the core focus right now can be going from basic education. making sure at least 0 to JSS3, everybody go try, everybody not at school. So with that one alone, we can proudly say, because to the global standard, that is what they call education school. When they say somebody is educated or not educated, the person, what it means is that if you are educated, that means you went through basic education. If you are not educated, you didn't go through basic education. So I may go to that one as we are coming to celebrate our success. I'm not like this guy only put 95. I'm not the 95%, of course, is very wrong because I mean you didn't take census. However, we need those kind of data, we need those kind of testimonies. But this time around, we need to back it up with data. I gotta say, okay, we conducted 300 children, and as at the time we did this, 45 of them are only in school, the rest are not in school. And after now, we were able to get this. Of us, equal 10 more. I'm still pushing, but hopefully within the next 1 month or 2, I should be able to get them back. I'm having challenges with getting my community people to fund. About those kind of things, we'll figure it out. So we need to be able to, by the time I bring her back to school, with no matter the strategy we use, you understand? Because
Yes.
everybody probably will use different strategy.
That applies to where they come from.
I can even introduce biscuits in school. If you're at school, they type biscuits. All these things can also attract them back to school. So all those things can be strategies. You just innovate around your own. If we are coming to share those kind of testimonies, then that will encourage. The reason why I write on Twitter is only because I just want people to have more reason to do what they want to do on their own. So that in case you never confusion, probably what I have written may also give you a guide. So when we share these our testimonies, you can also inspire more people or give them guides. Even in the nature, they can even start immediately. And then you don't have to wait to do, just as I said, smaller communities. Takes that small itself is better. Just start with that one. They conquer the advanced one. They conquer the advanced one. Just to make sure that now we the point is that we should never stop. Stagnation is not allowed. So that if we close that number, then we will keep moving. We'll keep moving. I'm coming to share how I've made progress. Joker the cook, everybody the cook, Casey the cook, how he has made progress. Never know. Let more everybody mazikwa you are now left behind. Or the guy who gave me MMM, everybody went to go or Fozigi. So all those kind of things. Let's just keep making that progress, making that consistent progress. Then Amazike communities are a peak. KNMND. You understand? And once we start that energy, and the governors had to check with high name. I check Twitter. And when that age Ruefi eme Twitter. Many of them but governors. But that's why that didn't mean keep by they use the profile picture. Man, this student of the governor, my even president, Hanchan which with the account and have you done you and I can go on the channel. I'm not gonna how and they watch it. So if I had official self with another person that manager. So a lot of them even are here listening. You understand? So and when we start that energy, they will be supporting as much as they can.
Absolutely.
And when we're like to be here.
If
start, it's usually difficult for everybody.
And to add to what he just said, more organizational skills, more ambitious, you can find only one child. Just you. Find just one child. Make sure that child is in school. Your responsibility. Okay, for long one, no one. Okudele get school. You need to cheer. You see primary, finish your primary, bang secondary. You need to cheer. At least go secondary school. Way outstanding results. Agabe University, at least go the basic. You can just choose one person sometimes. Nobody more energy and the skills to do Igwe. Might eventually inspire you to do much more, or might bring you around people that are doing their own. Then somehow your work connects you all. When the members are on a bigger level. Like if you believe when they do it from a smaller level,
It's true because even everybody need us in diaspora. The good thing I like about the diaspora is that a lot of people are just deeply interested in Nigeria. Because you only have one home, which is Nigeria.
Otu awa eji.
Nwere ọkụkọ gị nọ na America bụ citizen bụrụ ihe niile na they will never recognize you as onye be ha. Igbo onye Nigeria, Igbo onye isi ojii. So the earlier you fix your home, the safer and better for you. So I think a lot of people are recognizing it and people are deeply interested in seeing Nigeria work. So I think rather than to avoid repeating myself, I think this is basically what the direction I think we should.
I agree.
Look at activating.
I agree with you. We will take this up. I hope that people will everybody here who is interested will make a commitment on their own. Just the same way Alex posts what he's doing, you post your own, like a testimony.
Then we will celebrate it.
Absolutely.
Champagne.
In fact, okay, Nabia. Award from the name Melody Igbo Ife. It's coming soon. When we start awarding, as in recognizing people, acknowledging people who are doing things for Igbo. I get me. We'll get to that point. As in, Igbo get me. We'll get to that point because I don't want anything like that. I know drama. And that's one of the reasons why people like Uchenna and even you, Alex, and a lot of people named Melody Igbo Ife, people are Marofa. That's the essence of our words. Let everybody know because they lose about a story on your if you if family, if I post on a website about a MEFA award, you know, at events or maybe the nominees, if we have mega sigolo. Call work a fast wager. When you can say first or cause their story elaborately. That's why I go work. From there, people are okay. Onya know must be somebody named very important. We have to put that spotlight on the people, that positive spotlight on the people doing great work in our Igbo. I check on that Wi-Fi about Ogagago. Mazimo onye gekwu na onye amekwu. Okay, ka onye wele na kerungwa Chidubem, you have just 1 minute.
Okay. I've been enjoying the discussion so far. Alex, recommend your man. I've been following your work extensively and I'm so much motivated by you feeling so about when I'm in all time, all the can get and thank you. So in summary, I like to after making English for your community and I was also very intrigued to scale up even more and maybe on my own personal capacity to also community level. So first of all, I did go do with our first target group, both was in secondary school, and then they finish kind of like maybe the 1 year 2. So like because more I noticed last year when I Nigeria. So now see a lot of young people being in my neighborhood. I wasn't in Ghana, and I was really very disturbed. So when I started talking to so many of them around me, and one of the big problems I found out is so a lot of them feel so much future in education, like on a different kind of on a waste of the time. Only a good aquari only 4 years maybe. So no kind of manufacturers so fast lane and they with time. So and we started first of all with a lot of reorientation. And this orientation, if I gathered a lot of people from my community who are successful, which are experts in different fields. So, and then like we organize monthly seminars. So where we try to really bring these key experts. So now we offer, and they are Bokwande Hammer. You know, most of them are Kaboma. So when we perform more of their history now, these people tell their stories of how they all started from humble beginnings, and how education made a big difference. So, and for the testimonies in wanted so far, I've been so impressed because a lot of them, they have seen reasons to work harder, they have seen reasons to believe. And I put that hope now. Oh my God, you can have Manafanagide. And at the end of the day, yeah, and I fire the work at these people who are coming to talk to them. So, not now we're at the second phase, which is something similar to if I for the community. And I've actually spoken to a couple of my friends who are actually ready to bring in the money. I give on no, man, even on a those before Twitter inbox, man, I'm in America. So when I change people, I'm on this your educare software, which is also a very central part of the need around for your community. For one choice, Odika Ifai, and where any form of support. Yes, I know this is a software, and when they're not approval, they maintain man hours have gone into the development and so on and so forth. And actually, any special consideration in a year, one day now on this kind of community-based initiative. So when we get the quality, by our first approach is both I put together up the structure, and then but my long-term plan of gonna like a form of partnership where we can work with your tool. I would tell million members in Germany because last 2 weeks I'm just support Germany for a business trip. Even though I'll be coming back next week. So I'm how long they can around. If I don't make and I'll really be happy to link up and probably have a coffee discussion. But yeah, if there's something I can think I'm doing.
All right. Alex, you would like to respond, right?
Yes. So the thing, although my team Ekwebesha, so what I've proposed to them, actually, let's say maybe we'll have like an Educare Light, free and available for every community and non-for-profit schools in Nigeria. I'm still discussing with my team how we will make it available so that non-for-profit and public schools can have access to it. Then we'll just announce it. Everyone apply. We'll just so that for some of these things it can be a lot easier for people. But for private schools, definitely they will have to always pay. So, but I won't be my express approval on that. So I'm still discussing with my team. If this successful, then I will make it open for everybody. But it's a discussion I've already put up. I'm not important, and it will really help because education, I don't know cheap. Honestly, and I know that a lot of people, it will be a challenge for them, especially this kind of thing. But let me see what we can do. But I will just be on the know, Oyata. Maybe also reach out. I'll do possible, I'll let you know. But it's something that I genuinely want to be able to make possible for everyone, at least for the Nigeria specifically. So public and not-for-profit schools will just make it available. So the other one, although I'm working in France, but I'm actually in London before I'm actually in Nigeria. So I think I just have barely 2-3 weeks abroad. That's the truth. So I can available probably in London. I got him a lot easier. We can see. I man in Basel.
All right, thank you.
So Badro, in the London and the Germany, I got not. So let's hear from Uchenna. Biko, give us your closing shots, and then we'll wrap it up.
I would say that it's been a wonderful and productive time in as much as we are also doing assignment and doing this. Everybody here, it's nice meeting you. And I would say that kind check our government, like somebody said, like the host said, one child at a time. If each and every one of us can hold one child hand and say, let's move to the next level. If when I am and we're out of school children, on fair lexical one time, the first time I'll say, no na wanding no in desperate to save $1. Or they can say na mona like some of on the same way because I wrote that in Fonde or Baba in desperate while this was like 4 years ago. I said to them, save good if you people can save $1 a day. That I will tell you people how to manage that money on your own, and you see that our place will be like Obodo in healthcare and in education. But even by, we cannot say we are proud now we're a very good health center, whereas now there's good doctors living in different diaspora country abroad. So if we can do one thing for a child, Inwezeki Metu, you see that these things we're here to do is going to be sustainable. Rather than speaking today, tell yourself, what can I do one child at a time to sustain good and quality education in Nigeria and in Alibo. Thank you, everyone. And thank you for those that has contacted me already. Bikon Dalun, I'm looking forward to a productive week and conversation after this, please. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. One night. I'm mad. All the when I give about the obio, save on your back. Okay, make my own ever. But I know been someone I give a never. In fact, in the village.
Nothing is hidden. Everybody Google you, Google my name. Everything is there. Like I'm not hiding anything, especially.
I na cross the bone where by and kind.
Okay, so
I've more yakabo.
Oh, so well, Mr. Alex Sonia, if I want to know everything, I just Google you and find you in all places. So
as long as celebrities now.
No, as long as you're a good person, nobody has anything on you. Just be careful where you are and being at the right place at the right time.
Oh, my candy or make candy.
Of course, should I am back and I can because I'm married to me and
exactly.
Chawagas.
No, Nigeria. Work wherever Nigeria.
So that is the way.
I want to get lap.
Exactly. So we don't exactly. So we just give those info. We know what is proxy. So that's what happens.
Yes,
those ones are normal, basic information.
Yes.
Definitely helpful.
Alex, do you want to close?
Yeah. So the thing is, I really thank you, Chuck, and I really thank your team, Casey, and I like the fact that now we are sustaining the energy and we are now at the point of implementation. So, and I'm really happy for every contribution here. To be frank, every single contribution here makes a lot of sense. And I've actually been inspired by every single contribution. It makes sense. Different perspectives, different superior thought process. And both Uche and every single person that spoke, service culture, anytime you speak, you always make sense. And I really enjoy hearing from you and every other person here. So I really thank you for me. I've looked at the number. A lot of people have been here, and that means what we are talking really makes a lot of sense too. So I'll be more than happy to see that now within the coming months, that Igbo, to be frank, I just say where are you from? I just told them I'm from Ngo in Enugu State, Nigeria, and they use a video from Ngo every other place. So I just say I'm from Enugu State. Which country is it? Is Nigeria. So Enugu Buzuzo. And then from the eastern part of Nigeria. So the point is that now Igbo definitely will be on top. Will be way ahead, light years ahead of the rest of the other places. The reason is that now we've already made a decision that now education is something that we are going to attack heads on. We'll get everybody back to school. We will grow our own society. We'll make it super attractive for every single responsible person. We will make sure that Naima will achieve that single goal. If we can get everybody in our Igbo educated, that is the first level. Then a lot more things will come to it. Even all the challenges that we think we face today, we will overcome all of them with qualitative education for every child. And I strongly trust that now INCHA, putting our voice, putting our resources, putting our time, putting our commitment, we will definitely help our own communities to succeed. As once we do that, we'll go right in the anyway. I thank each and every one of us, and I really, really appreciate my time here. No single second was a waste. I really appreciate and value every single time here, and I believe each and every one of us too valued it. Ike, if you have any challenge, please always be willing to share with the team so that I took question will definitely figure out how to navigate through anything. Thank you so much, everyone, and thank you for spending your quality time with us. Don't take it for granted.
Hello, Alex. Priscilla, please give us your brief closing shot.
For me, I would like to thank everyone that came here today. God bless you all and for all your contributions. Awesome. I learned a lot, and I'm looking forward to seeing you next Saturday for another amazing session. Please don't forget, we are what our society needs. Nobody is coming to save us. We can only save ourselves. And that's from me, Priscilla, your service culture evangelist. See you on Saturday. Same time, same location, same account.
Casey, Odogu.
Today, na conversation that Obi like awesome Obi, because we covered a lot, and again, our continuation of behind discourse going in the past. For me personally, Bob Nanje, whether I'm on a conference, any educational event or participating, for me, I've tried to take one thing, one thing that I can practice, one thing that I can learn, one thing that I can get into action. And for the conversation, I encourage everyone, make sure you take one thing. If you have not taken anything out of it, I will share what I took out of it. Take mine. And to me, but the fact that we need to start small. I need to know as basic as possible. We need to focus on that basic level, right? And Alex Kuri, and I think it actually hit a nerve. Say, before you actually ask people to join you, or while you're asking people to join you, start. Be good. Start. You start with your small family, your nephews, your nieces, your extended family, your kindred, your community. Just start small. Start by being involved. If you can't be involved, then I think it's quite important to develop strategies that you can help to reward that. But it's important because people actually pay more attention to what you've done rather than what you will do. So the number to start first, and it plays a big role. And for me too, I also believe in the importance of celebrating and rewarding success. Strategy of is really up to you. That brother Balum Christmas, can't forget your results first. You have to be able to find ways you can hold, those little ones accountable. Men car, then I'll give you this. Men car, then I will give you this. You can even extend it to their parents. But we have to start in small ways. And the third one, for me, they're not very critical. And I think it's very important. Be careful. There will always be people who will criticize you. There will be people who will tell you, no, can you biscuit? Meanwhile, na US, burger. One thing I know, the people who criticizes people who do little are mostly the ones who do nothing. Absolutely nothing. Pay no attention. Continue. Start gradually. Try and contribute the little you can. While. We can all collectively achieve it. So thank you again, and I look forward to next week.
this brings us to the end of this interesting conversation. But it's been very rich. It's been very educative. Even though I need to discuss education, I'm a lot of things, and at the same time, it's lovely. It's lovely when this is where we're going, and we're proving yet again that we are the leaders that we were talked about in the past. I believe the leaders of tomorrow. I know about that leaders. I know about now. This is that tomorrow that was talked about. And you go forward. And we always encourage people, when you do these things and it starts moving, remember that if you want to go fast, you go alone. If you want to go far, you with others. If you do come in there, on a golf for man, it will go further. It will make more impact. If any Alex Koleba on in partnerships, if any Uchenna Koleba on in partnerships, that's Igbo spirit. It's part of what makes us impactful. It's part of what makes us significant in whatever we do. So let's embrace it and keep working with that. I want to say thank you especially to Alex and Uchenna for their time. Thank you for your time. You gave us 3 hours plus here. That's been great. Like, we couldn't ask for this. I didn't know we would spend this much time, but your patience is immensely appreciated. Thank you for the rich contributions you made to this conversation. You even shared things that are personal, just to be able to help us understand what's going on and how things work and what needs to be done. I appreciate you. We appreciate you. We thank everyone else who has contributed to this conversation. We thank everyone who shared this space. We thank everyone who has been listening to this conversation on Twitter Space and those listening on YouTube and on Facebook, as we have our talk about how we're going to improve our Igbo. You made the difference in this conversation, and I want to say thank you to my co-hosts, Casey and Priscilla, and to the invisible, the madam working behind the live stream. Thank you so much, Ngozi. You have been a very, very rich part of what we are doing. Even though we don't see you, people don't see what you do. If you want to support Uche, the information is on the Jumbotron. Feel free to go there. From there, reach out to her and see what you can contribute, however you can contribute, whatever you can contribute. Just discuss with her and trust that she will make the most of it. Like I said, I always say, because join those who are subscribing to our channels, our YouTube channel, our Facebook page, and even on this Twitter. Like this Twitter, follow this Twitter, so you can get more updates on what we're doing. Next week, we're going to have another interesting conversation just like this. It doesn't have to be education, but it will be something important, something vital. Till next Saturday, 8 p.m. Nigerian time.
It's the morning show.
Makodem Mandibo.